Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the City of Delray Beach's regular commission meeting, scheduled for regular city commission meeting, scheduled for Tuesday, January 16th, 2024 at 5 p.m. Please call the roll.
Mr. Frankel.
I'm present.
Mr. Long.
Present.
Mr. Boylston.
Present.
Ms. Burns.
Here.
Mayor Petrolia.
And I am here. Please stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so we're at the agenda approval. Are there any additions, deletions, substitutions, changes? Seeing none, I do want to ask for a point of privilege to move 10C1 up. I would like to do it maybe after public comment. So after city manager's comment, after public comment, can we make a 5C and just move it to there instead of at the end? Yes? This is with regards to the organizational chart. Moving that forward. Yes.
Yeah.
Any problems? Okay, so we're going to move that up with that amendment. Entertain a motion.
I'm sorry, just one moment. Just if I were to move something from the consent.
Yes, you'd want to do it now. You know, I don't know if there's anybody here on behalf of, there's a couple of things on consent, and I just want to make sure that we're taking that into consideration as well. There were two items on there that, if there's anybody here that might be on the Germantown Road or the Lindell Boulevard, is there anybody here to speak about that? And if you could raise your hand just to indicate. Seeing none, then that's fine to keep on consent. And Vice Mayor?
Where, Ms. Challen, where is the item in regards to the school board? I mean, the education committee?
Oh, that's an ordinance.
That's an ordinance. That's first.
It's on the
That's
ordinance.
in,
Okay.
yeah.
Got it.
We good?
Yep.
All right, so entertain as amended.
Motion to approve as amended?
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Long.
Yes.
Mr. Boylston.
Yes.
Ms. Burns.
Yes.
Mayor Petrolia.
Yes.
Mr. Frankel.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to presentations. 4A, we have Priscilla Patrick as our Administrative Assistant Employee of the Month for December of 2023. Yes, Ms. Lachey. Ms. Lachey King.
Yes, I'm Lachey King, Human Resources Generalist, and I am here to present to you our Employee of the Month, Ms. Priscilla Patrick. And speaking on her behalf, the Director of Parks, Sam Meaton.
Good evening, Mayor,
evening.
Commissioners. Sam Meatot, Director of Parks and Recreation. Just wanted to take a moment to talk about Priscilla and what she means to our team over at Parks and Rec. And Priscilla, while nominated for the Employee of the Month, she is one of our strongest employees in the entire department. And when I say that, it's the embodiment of an employee of what you want. We get compliments, emails, phone calls on Priscilla all the time, but it's the above and beyond that she demonstrates so consistently that you could have picked her in a number of different months. She's always greeting our customers with a big smile, always professional and polite, but it's the above that I mentioned. It's when we were doing the concerts over at Old School Square, or weddings in the field house, or when we do the Christmas Village all winter, when we need someone to cover the front desk if someone's out for the day, she's there. It's that extra mile that she goes each and every time, often without even being asked, that we really are the proudest of her as one of our employees. Can't thank her enough for what she does for our department, and really honored to be here today to present Ms. Priscilla Patrick with our Employee of the Month. Thank you.
Well, congratulations. Everybody needs a Priscilla in their department. Thank you.
Okay. So, because you're so amazing, on behalf of the commission and the city, we would like to present you this beautiful plaque.
Thank you.
And a certificate for 8 hours off with pay.
That's the best part.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, well deserved. All right, and because it's January, we get to name the Employee of the Year, and this is very exciting, so come on up again. Oh, okay, yes.
All right, drum roll time. Again, Lachey King, Human Resources Generalist, presenting to you our 2023 Employee of the Year.
You say it.
Okay. Officer Rumi Florville.
Mayor Commission, Dwayne DeAndre, Human Resources. It's always fun to do these things, pomp and circumstance. We have 932 full-time employees here at the City of Delray Beach. This is our Employee of the Year.
Wow.
So it is very, very nice to be able to present this award to him. He's very deserving. Everyone here at City Hall, since he's been here on campus, has really taken to him. He goes the extra mile to greet every employee, every citizen that comes in the city here, and it's well noticed amongst all that come in City Hall. So I'm going to let Chief Major talk to you a little bit about Officer Rumi, and we'll go from there.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good afternoon. I'll be about 3 hours, so just kidding. Chief Russ Major, Delray Beach Police Department. Rumi. Sir. The city manager and I last year, we came to the determination as well as the commission that we needed an officer here during the daytime hours. And trying to find that right fit was very delicate. We actually put out applications within the agency, and then we were a little nervous about who was going to put in, if anybody was even going to put in. And this gentleman put in, along with a couple others, and we chose him for the position, and the rest is history. I got to tell you, he is like the most gentle, kindest, sweetest guy you could ever meet in your life. He wears his emotions on his heart. I love what he has done here. I come in here every day and I say, how do you like your job? He goes, I love it. And it's so hard to find people who truly love what they do and love their job. He is a great reflection of our agency. I couldn't be prouder. When I came here last week and he actually won the award, he was speechless. So it was really cool. So it was my pleasure representing the city, representing the police department, to congratulate you, and I couldn't think of a better person that should deserve this award. So thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
I felt like I just won a championship or something.
You did.
First of all, I just want to say thank you, really, from the bottom of my heart. I want to thank each and everyone who voted for me. This city really has been great to me since day one. Most of you probably don't know that. Even Dot from Human Resources, you could say she was literally a teacher to me. I would come here where she would teach me grammar, spelling. Yeah, that was probably 2007, 2007, maybe 2007, 2008. I never forget those moments, and she didn't have to do that. Just myself and a couple other employees that she would do that. And to me, the best thing I could do, the best way I could repay her is just be a better human being, be kind. When everything is, all said and done, when I look back at my career, I will be very proud of what I've done. Because of this job in this city, I really truly believe I've become a better person, I'm a better father, and a better human being overall. So I really appreciate it. Thank you, to everybody. I just so many of you to name, but you guys have another program to go to, so I appreciate it. Thank you, El.
So, Officer Florville.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
On behalf of the commission and the city, we would like to present you this beautiful plaque.
Thank you.
We would also like to present you an official Employee of the Year plaque.
So
Beautiful.
nice.
Wait. Ooh.
Very nice. Crystal.
Yeah.
Nice. And
A month.
yes, you get not 8, not 16, but 24 hours off with pay. And Mayor, if
I'm going to come down.
Okay,
Yes, I
that's
just want to say you did win something. You were the standout guy of 935 employees, and you also got those great awards.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, for wanting me to come down and take a picture with you guys.
Depending on what the marketplace does in terms of employee recognition of other municipalities. Class and comp analysis.
Thank you.
February 6th. Is it for me?
Well, that's so
right.
exciting, and it's great to have
Still-
somebody who speaks several languages at the front door. So if somebody is not able to speak English and English is their second language, it's great to have a person that they can look to and get answers. So wonderful. At this point, we are at the State of Education representative, school board member, here we go. Mr. Edwin Ferguson is here to give us a little report. Great to see you.
Good to see you. Are we going to have the slides up? Okay. Are we going to have the slides up?
That's
or-
above my pay grade. That would be the
Okay.
IT people.
All right. Well, yeah, I was told they were sent to you all last month, but sounds like no. Okay. All right. So I'm glad I have a hard copy here. So, Madam Mayor, Commission, Mr. Manager, Attorney, Delray residents, I'm your school board member for District 7. Kind of covers the east side of the city. So I have 5 schools here. For those who don't know, that would be Plamosa, Spady, Village Academy,
Pine Grove?
end of the day, Pine Grove, thank you, and Atlantic. So those are my 5 schools here in the city of Delray. So I did this last year to kind of give you all an update on how the schools are performing. I think it's important for the community to know how the respective schools are doing. But I also have an ask of you all as residents and as the council and the mayor as well. So let's kind of work our way through this because I was told to kind of keep this around 5 to 10 minutes, and I'll do my best to adhere to that. So I'm going to make sure that this slide deck gets sent to you all. I thought it was going to be up on
Sure.
the board so the persons can scan the QR code. So whenever I do town halls, I always embed QR codes so that citizens or attendees can download the information that I have. I don't think it's of much use if it's just in my head and not with you all. So I'll be sure to make sure that gets sent out to you tomorrow, and I ask that you please share it with the residents. But in any event, as far as our schools, the schools that I mentioned go, as far as you all know that my major platform issue is early education. Children who start behind tend to stay behind, and those who start ahead tend to stay ahead. So in regard to our 4 elementary schools here in District 7 in Delray, Pine Grove, Plamosa, Spady, and Village Academy, the district average for kindergarten readiness is 46%, which is pretty paltry. That's not good. Having said all that, Pine Grove and Village Academy are actually well below the district average of 46%. They're at 32% and 31% respectively. So basically what that means is when a child comes in to kindergarten, that first 2 to 3 weeks, they're assessed to determine whether they're kindergarten ready. So some of the things that are assessed are their ability to hold a pen or a pencil like this versus like this, identify their name. My name is Edwin. I identify that's my name, EDWIN. Colors. If you can believe it or not, some 5-year-olds can't identify colors. They don't know blue versus orange or red. It's pretty sad. Counting, and also recitation of the alphabet. That's pretty much what we use to determine whether somebody is kindergarten ready. And what I'm telling you is the greater majority of students here in Palm Beach County are not. So that's a problem for me. But in any event, Plamosa is at 49% for last year. Spady was at 63%. It looks like Plamosa and Spady, generally speaking, are above the kindergarten readiness cutoff of 46%. They average somewhere between the 58 and 70%. That's not bad, but of course I'm always pushing for more. I'd like one day where we're over 90%. I think that can happen with collaboration with great municipalities such as Delray. As far as ELA, so we assess for English language arts from 3rd grade really all the way up through the 10th grade. So in regard to the district average for ELA, it's at 49%. And as far as our 5 schools here go, last year Pine Grove was at 41% in terms of students who are at a level 3 or better. So think of a 3, at least this is my oversimplification, think of a 3 as like a C. a 4 being a B, and a 5 being an A. So the district average is 49% of our students score a C or better. Pine Grove is at 41% for last year. Plumosa is at roughly 43%. Spady is at 50. Plumosa is at 43%. Spady is at 53%. Village Academy is at 31%, and Atlantic's at 46%. That's pretty well where those schools kind of have meandered over the last 3 to 5 years. And again, I'm going to get this to y'all so y'all can kind of get into the data for yourselves. When we send this to you as residents, there'll be there are other learning materials that are embedded in the presentation. So I apologize for not getting that to y'all, but I humbly ask that you all make use of it. There are things that can really help your children sustain substantial gains in terms of English, math, science, and the like. So you'll see those once we share that with the city tomorrow. Now, as far as mathematics go, the district average is at 55%. So I've noticed in this first year the district has really put a lot of effort behind making sure that more children are more proficient in math. So the district average is at 55%. Here in Delray, Pine Grove is at 63%. So 63% of the elementary students are performing at a C or better. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. Plumosa is at roughly 51%. Spady is at 59%. Village Academy is at 29%. As far as that goes. In regard to geometry, that's going to be an assessment depending on whatever grade, 9th, 10th, 11th, or 12th grade, you take the class in, the district average is only at 51%. So only 51% of our high school age students who take geometry perform at a level of C or better, 3 or better.
What was Plumosa again, the percentage?
Yes, ma'am. For math?
51? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
51%.
Thank you.
Yes. Now, Village Academy, district average is at 51. Village Academy is at 38% for last year, and Atlantic is at 29%. Algebra 1, and that's pretty important because to attain a high school diploma here in Palm Beach County, you have to pass Algebra 1. So the district average is at 50%. Wow. That sounds pretty odd because we hear that 80% graduation rates and things of that nature. So there are other little ways that persons are allowed to attain a degree by way of passing ACT, SAT. There are other concordant scores. I don't want to bore you all with that right now. But having said that, in regard to algebra, the district average is at 50%. Village Academy for last year was at 64%. Atlantic was at 21%. So again, if a 3 is a C or better, the greater majority of students who took Algebra 1 at Village Academy High School, at the high school campus, which is right around the corner from here, they were at 64%. Atlantic was only at 21%. And again, there are various educational tools that were embedded in the presentation, so I'll be sure to get that to the city so y'all can make use of it. I'm pretty confident you'll find it to be very useful. I know I use it with my own children at home. As far as science, the district average is only at 49%. Pine Grove, 39% for last year. Plumosa is at 40%. Spady is at 51%. Village Academy is at 16%. And for the most part, that's about where, well, I shouldn't say that. Pine Grove jumped from 22% in 2022 to 39% last year, so that was obviously a pretty substantial gain. Spady was at 39% in 2022, and they also jumped 12 points to 51%. Plumosa was pretty much in the same range. It was at 40 last year, was 34% the year before, and Village Academy was at 16% last year, and they were at 18% in 2022. Biology, that's going to be a class that is taken primarily in high school. The district average is at 63%. Atlantic was at 53% for last year, and the year before they were at 50%, so they're pretty much meandering around that 50% cutoff. Village Academy had a pretty substantial spike. They were actually at 48% in 2023. The year before they were at only 28%. As far as U.S. history goes, most students seem to do well with U.S. history. It doesn't seem to be the most rigorous of courses, and I think that it's just an honest assessment. And the district average is at 62%. It kind of makes sense in some ways. Having said all that, Atlantic High is at 54% for last year. The year before they were at 60%, and Village Academy was at 35% for 2023. The prior year they were at 46%. As far as civics go, again, this one. I think most students would say less challenging classes. The district average is at 65%. Village Academy was at 32% for last year. prior year 43%. And Plamosa, I believe Plamosa just brought on 8th grade, and so I only have a score for them for last year, but they were at 74%. So that's pretty good. It's pretty good. Now, as far as how the city can be of assistance, well, I guess I should speak about metal detector devices. That was one of the things I really pushed upon attaining this seat. One of the first things I asked the superintendent to do was to harden our schools. So as you know, we have the pilot program. So we have 4 schools currently that have metal detectors. They are Seminole Ridge, Palm Beach Gardens, Palm Beach Lakes, and John I. Leonard. Each of those schools process no less than 2,000 students a day. So we know that the system is in place, and now it's just a matter of getting the detectors out to the remaining high schools. Our goal is to have those metal detector devices at all high schools by the end of the year, and I got that information as recently as last week from the superintendent. Next year, the goal will be to roll them out at middle school, and then the following year at elementary school. So we're moving as quickly as we can to help secure and make sure our children and our teachers and administrators are as safe as we can possibly make them at the schools. So that's where we currently stand. You'll be happy to know, I'm happy at least to know, that there have been no firearms found on persons. It's definitely serving as a deterrent, because I know for a fact that we've had instances in past years where there were knives and guns brought on campuses. So it is serving as a deterrent for students in that regard. Unfortunately, it's not deterring them from bringing on their vape pens. So we are constantly finding persons bringing vape pens on campus, and that's a suspendable, actually an offense that can result in you being expelled. So unfortunately, students are still bringing vape pens on the campus. But the point is, the metal detection devices are doing what we hope they are going to do, which is detecting metal being brought onto the campus. So it is having an effect. Also, family, parents, students, we have a free tutoring program. It's called Paper. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You'll get this information, so I don't want to belabor that point. But it's really a game changer, in my opinion. If you're a student,
Keep going.
okay. If you're a student who is in need of additional tutoring, so you're not able for whatever reason to stay at school, you can reach out through Paper, and you can get assistance on math, science, and things of that nature. And I think that's one point, respectfully, Commissioner, and I think the city, I'm asking for your help. Getting the word out about Paper, because these scores to me are an embarrassment.
What is the name of it again?
It's called Paper. It literally is called Paper.
P-A-P-E-R?
P-A-P-E-R.
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, so I'll give this information over to you.
Okay.
But we have to I think notify, I guess, would be the best way to say it, because some students actually don't know about it, if you can believe it or not. We should notify them about Paper and the ease with which it can be used, because there's really no reason for any school to have proficiency levels in the 20s or 30s or 40s or 50s. I just can't understand that. So with your help kind of getting the word out, I'm hoping that we can push more students to make use of this. It's already paid for by the district. Let's make it happen. I really want to see these average scores in the 60s or 70s by the end of my first term. So I know that's a big ask, but again, working with the respective communities, I know this can happen, and it's something that we need to happen. We need to have persons that are properly educated so they can be gainfully employed as adults to help continue Delray's title as All-American City. I guess you guys are going to be pushing for that again here. Yeah,
You need to.
Yeah, should be on that for, soon. There also is something in Paper called voice notes. So I wasn't aware of this, so I'm actually going to read this. So I have not made use of this aspect of it, but it's really good for persons who have language barriers. So, for example, let's say my name is Edwin, and I'm more proficient in Creole than I am in English. You can use the voice notes feature on Paper to speak with somebody in Creole to help you with your math or your science or what have you. Or conversely, I'm a Spanish speaker, and maybe I'm not as fluent in English. They can help you in Spanish. These are things that we have to make use of. They've been on the books now for some years, but I don't think we as a district, candidly, have done an effective job of getting out into the communities and letting you know that it exists. That's why I'm here, and that's one of my asks of the board. Almost done. The Chief Academic Officer wanted me to let you all know that the Florida Department of Education has a New Worlds Reads initiative. So effectively, we have a lot of students who don't read on grade level, and that's largely the reason why our English scores are poor, our science scores are poor, our math scores are poor. Most of the tests are written. It's not just like 2 + 2. It's a lot of word problems and things of that nature. So you have to be able to read and comprehend the question in order to get a good answer. So the DOE is affording persons who are reading below grade level access to additional reading materials, and their position is that if we help you get these materials, that it will in time help elevate your reading scores. Again, I apologize for not having it up here, and I hate to be the guy just reading from a paper, but in any event, if we have students, if we have a child who's struggling in school, as a matter of fact, I'll just give you my number. That's probably the quickest way, because this is kind of taking a little bit longer than I thought. My office number is 561-434-4781. So that's 561-434-4781. So if there are any parents or concerned citizens who have questions about this, please feel free to call me. If I don't know the answer, I'll be sure to reach out to the chief academic officer, the chief of schools, to make sure that we get you the information ASAP. And that's it. My biggest ask is we really need to hone in on that early education piece. If we have a higher number of children who are kindergarten ready, those other numbers will go along. So if we had an 80% kindergarten readiness score, you'll see that the English and math and things of that nature, that those scores go up as well. It really is that simple. So if we have young children ages 2 and 3, I'll tell you what I did with my own children. I made sure they were kindergarten ready at age 2 or 3. I didn't wait until they came into school to try to meet those bare minimums. That's not impressive. These kids have to be prepared to compete on an international stage, and that's really what I'm asking for you all to have that same passion. I know you do, but I'm saying let's work together in a collaborative fashion to make sure that every student here and every child in Delray Beach and across Palm Beach County has access to the materials that they need, and that we empower them to be their best selves. That's why I'm here today, and anytime you all need me, I'm just a phone call or an email away.
And we
that's my
appreciate your
presentation.
giving us and making it public, your number, because that's really important, especially if somebody has a question
Yes.
that can't be answered in this short period of time.
Yes.
How long has that paper been been out there?
For at least several years.
Wow, it's the first time I'm hearing about it, so it's
Right.
very interesting that you're bringing that up, and
Yes.
I haven't heard anything about it.
Yeah.
And then the other question that I have is because I know that we do a lot of supplemental tutoring and help, after-school help, things like that through our Achievement Center and other resources. And I'm questioning, to see some of these numbers going down in the last year, that just is very troubling to me, because it seems like something's not working, to see the slide happening in school, of our school specifically, because, we're in the lower, probably,
In
percentage.
District 7, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
and
think it's
that's-
partly due, Madam Mayor, due to the siloing, if you will. I think parents in the schools have to do a better job of collaboration. Like, our SACs are woefully small.
Yeah.
10 people, 15 people are in SACs. That's an easy way to connect as a parent with the teachers and the principal to figure out, okay, what tools do you all have that I can bring home to help my child improve? I think I would encourage every parent who has a child whose child attends a school with a SAC, because not everyone does, although I think most of the schools here in Delray actually do fall in Title I, so I guess everybody would have a SAC. I would like to see a greater number of parents and concerned citizens attending and participating in these SACs, because again, the information is kind of getting stuck in the schools, and it needs to be out in the communities.
Yeah.
So I think there needs to be a greater exchange of information.
Well, it's unfortunate that a lot of the children here have parents that are not just working one, but sometimes 2 jobs to be
Sure.
able to make ends meet, and they don't have that ability to be able to just show up at a meeting. And so
Understood.
there's got to be other ways to be able to get this out, and maybe it's
Yes.
going to be up to the city and us to try to get this message out to those parents to know that there are
Paper is definitely a good
resources.
start.
You got it. Thank
Paper
you
is
so
definitely a
much.
good start.
Anything else
Yeah.
from anybody?
I just
Sure.
wanted to ask, is the school board advocating at the state level for the all-day pre-K?
I'm actually going to be up there next week advocating for that, because that's something I know some smaller states are doing it. It'll be a bigger ask for us as Florida, but it's definitely something that we need to ensure uniformity in terms of preparedness for kindergarten. So I, for one, will definitely be up there speaking with select legislators next week on that issue, and I hope that's something that ultimately we can see come to fruition here in Florida.
And it would be beneficial to have us
agree.
as a city advocating for it as well?
Of course it would.
Okay.
It'd be great for everybody to do it, and yeah,
Okay.
for sure, yes.
All right. Anyone else?
Mr. Fickerson, thank you very much for the time you spent with me and Mr. Long last week in Tallahassee for
Yes.
Palm Beach County Days. It's just great, discussing some of the local issues, and you were very kind and gracious with your time, so thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Deputy Vice Mayor?
I'll just chime in with my colleague. It was great seeing you up there, man. Thanks for all the hard work you do for our
Thank you.
district, and thanks for coming tonight with the presentation. Really
Thank you
appreciate
very
it.
much. Thank you.
City Manager?
Thank you, ma'am. So, Mr. Ferguson, thank you
Yes,
very much. And I'd just like to highlight that the city's education and workforce coordinator, Ms. Janai Bowens, who's with us this evening, I've asked her to work closely with yourself, your colleagues, to share a lot of the information you've communicated here this evening so that we can cast the net in terms of connecting the dots and doing what we can to create awareness.
Great.
And so with that, ladies and gentlemen, I think that would be appropriate. I like to believe there's tremendous support in that regard, but
Yes.
the Office of the City Manager has already provided that direction.
Awesome.
Very good.
Madam Mayor, I forgot to mention that we're going to do an open house at the Adult Education Center, formerly Carver.
Right.
Ms. Burns was kind enough to attend our town hall a few weeks ago. I'm looking to get that done sometime in February. I think the community will be just knocked off their shoes if they see the great things that we're doing over there in the district. And again, I just think it's important that we all collaborate with one another. What you know, I should know, and vice versa.
Absolutely,
So
and make sure
gonna
that
get
you
done
give
here soon.
give us that date and everything. And Commissioner Burns, I didn't even mean
No,
to jump over you.
I just wanted to say thank you for bringing the information to us, and that time we spent at the airport, it was very.
The Orlando airport.
Yes.
Didn't
Yeah,
quite
yeah,
make
yeah.
it to
Yeah.
Tallahassee.
Yes.
Yeah, that was very funny.
So thank you.
Well, thank you so much for bringing this information. Not that it was the best of information, but it's what we need to know to work from here
Yes.
up. And we appreciate you coming here and giving us your
Thank you for having me.
the information.
Thank you
from
for
this
having me. I really
report.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you so much.
Have a great evening, everybody.
You too now. All right, moving on to comments and inquiries on agenda and non-agenda items. We'll start with Mr. Moore.
Not at this time, thank you.
Okay, so we're going to move on to the public. At this time, the public is now open to public comment. For anyone wishing to speak on any topic or agenda item that's not quasi-judicial or a public hearing item, public will have the opportunity to speak on quasi-judicial and public hearing items later in the meeting as those items are called. For public comment, please make sure that you've signed in your name and your address, and for the record, you will have 3 minutes. Yes, sir.
Good evening, everyone.
Hi, Mr. McCray.
My name is James McCray, founder of James Chess Club. And I've come in today to thank the city and the community for allowing James Chess Club to be able to go in the community to teach chess at a free cost. At the same time, I would like to volunteer. There was 4 tables that was presented, which we will be doing 2 at Liberty Wesley and 2 at Veteran Park. At this time, we're only asking that maybe the opportunity to be there, which I would volunteer my time free, to come and make sure the tables are set up right, because if they're not set up right, then we can't use them. Okay? There was 3 great men that maybe you remember, and everything I've heard today sound like it goes right back to them. One that was John F. Kennedy said, "Ask not what you can do for your country. No, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you could do for your country." Well, in that relate to me, as my community of Delray Beach, I want to offer chess. And chess is, it costs us $140 and more to participate, but I want to give it to it free, because if we can bring the unity of young people as well as older people to play together, then we have a good thing. Martin Luther King said, "I have a dream that we all become one." The dream that we all become one can happen through the game of chess. It gives us an opportunity to come together in unity to talk to each other. If you can relate to somebody, you can figure out where they're at. And that would keep a lot of, maybe, I can't say it'll stop crime, but it will allow people to respect each other. Number 3, Nelson Mandela said, we weren't born to hate, we was taught to hate. As a community through James Chess Club, maybe we can remove that hate and we can become a family. I appreciate everything that Delray have allowed me to do in Delray for the kids, adults. I have over approximately, for the last 3 years, signature from out of towns, something like about 700. Okay, young people do play chess. Young people love the game of chess. A lot of older folks say, well, you know what? I used to play, but if you started again, that same patience that you had when you first started out, you'll bring about a lot of love within where you're at in your family. It also teaches the family, gives the family an opportunity to talk together. If we can bring the community and bring family together, what more beautiful way of having what we need to get done in Delray Beach, which we know we are a community in Delray, and that's the only way we're gonna stand. Okay, I hear you. Can I have one more minute?
Not
That's
one
it?
more minute, no, sir. You just have to finish up.
Okay. Now, by the way, before I leave everything, we're still having the Mayor's Chess Challenge Saturday, February the 10th, from 10 a.m. to noon at Old School Square Field House. There's free parking in the garage. The address is 51 North Swinton Avenue, Delray Beach, Florida. My only request for everything I've said here is that if it's possible for me to be there to make sure that we set the tables up.
Absolutely.
Because there's no sense in having tables.
We'll do that. We'll make that happen.
If they're not set up right. And the chess table is very important.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you
McCray.
very much.
Appreciate it. Yes. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Hello, Arlen Dominic, 50
Hi, Arlen.
East Road. It's a pleasure to see all of you, Madam Mayor,
And you?
Mr. Vice Chair, Honorable Commissioners, Mr. Moore, Ms. Gellin. I'm afraid that two of you are soon leaving. I thank you for your service. It's been enjoyable to have collaborated with you over the years.
Likewise.
I am the squeaky wheel this evening. I'm here to talk about noise in the city of Delray Beach. Noise that affects not only myself and my neighbors in my building, but the noise that every visitor to Delray Beach has to endure when they sit and have dinner in our beautiful avenue. There's no reason why we should have to listen to noise from a motorcycle, from a moving boombox, from a souped-up pickup going down the avenue. We're there to enjoy ourselves and to talk and not be lambasted by music. I, for one, don't like the motorcycle that races down Atlantic Avenue at about 12:45 most nights of the week. And while I like the music from Deck 84, if I were at Deck 84, I might like it more, but I shouldn't have to listen to it across a bridge, through two hedges, and through impact glass, through a room, into my bedroom. I am the squeaky wheel. I feel I'm a little rusty. I have my email to Mr. Hardin dated in 2003, where I inquired whether or not the Delray Police Department was going to, well, I had read in the Sun Sentinel that the Delray Police Department was going to start enforcing the noise ordinances. Another fellow by the name of Jeff Perlman told me that we are doing enforcement. But in my opinion, we do not have a very good noise ordinance. However, I still contend that the state needs to step in with legislation, etc. Well, that was a while ago. In 2020, I documented to the city noise levels that I recorded and provided it to the interim city manager and to all of the commission members. That was 2020. I did refer this matter also to Mr. Moore. Mr. Moore did have Rodney Stevenson call me about Deck 84, but the last time I called about Deck 84, since I was told I needed to call the police department every time there was a noise, I was told there was no record of it, and I hear that other people have had the same issue. So Mayor Petrolio told me that I needed to bring more people. So I brought people, my neighbors from the Bar Terrace, who are here, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them here this evening. We ask that you start doing something about noise on the avenue to make our life in our city more palatable. I also have an email from a neighbor who could not make it this evening, but she provides her support. I have one from a couple in Scotland right now who weren't able to make it, a neighbor from Toronto, another neighbor who winters here. Claudia Willis. I think many of you know Claudia Willis. My neighbor Ron Ferguson, who did manage to make it behind me. My neighbor Carol Rogan, who's down there, and a few others.
Do you want to give that to us for the record, or
which ones?
Whichever
my
ones
emails?
you have, whatever you want to give us, so we can take a look at that too.
Well, okay.
Just hand it to the clerk, and she'll.
I will. I would be more than pleased to do that.
All right. Very good. There
Okay.
you go. Thank you so much.
I keep all of my emails.
There you go. Appreciate
And
it.
I'm missing one, but
All
thank
right.
you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
I think we're good.
Come on over next in line.
My iPhone doesn't do it
All
justice.
right. Yep, we got it.
Hello, Vera Woodson, 1885 Palm Cove Boulevard. I apologize, I don't have any sound effects, but good job.
Well,
Very
you can
good
make
job.
them yourself if you
I'm
want
just,
to.
I had to sit through that painful education thing. I have 2 graduate degrees in education and was a assistant principal at Thomas Jefferson, which is in the top 5 in the country. So sitting there listening, I'm like, okay,
Yes.
sorry. But anyway, I'm Vera Woodson. I'm here as a private citizen, but I am here because I want to thank those of you who participated in all of the Martin Luther King productions, parade, all of those things. It is great to see city leaders come out and support something that is so positive, that includes kids and for the community to see you. But I have a special thanks to a group of people who, to me, embody what I believe is one of the best organizations that we can hang our hat on and say that we should be proud of, and that is our police force. So if you guys would stand up, I have something to say to all of you. This police force, now I'm from Long Beach, California, big city, and I lived in Falls Church, Virginia, small city but grew into a big city. And I want to say thank you, because on every occasion when I've called, I called Chief Russ and said, hey, I went fishing, and underneath the bridge there's a homeless encampment. They have a lazy boy. And he said, where? He called me, where is this? Where is this? And they sent someone out to deal with it. When I've called about homeless issues, Sergeant Schmidt went and actually did his own personal sting operation and took down some folks that were selling poison to our people. And that is something I will not tolerate, not while I live here. Lieutenant Quinn and I went out to coffee for her to give me insight into how we can improve the city in terms of the events that take place downtown, so I can bring it back to the group that I am affiliated with. But I wanted to thank you all, because putting your trust in our police force and giving them the autonomy to do what is right by the people has definitely showed that you all are the quality people that we need representing this city in the best way. And Chief Russ, I know you've hired 17, 18 people in the last 6 months, and I want to say thank you. Thank you for bringing on new people that also have those same ideals for the people and to serve these people the way we need to be served. Because we always talk about protection, but the service part always seems to be missed. And I know it was difficult for you all to sit yesterday and listen to, or Monday, to hear the pastor talking about, the police issues and how black people have been killed at the hands of police. But believe me, we don't live in a silo. We know. But I was a teacher, and when we see bad teachers, we need to call them out, just like we call out bad police officers. And that's, I think, what he was trying to get to. He just never made it there. He didn't know how to land that. He couldn't land that plane. I was like, dude, land the plane. But I want to speak on behalf of my black community and say thank you. We appreciate your service. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Yes, sir.
Mayor Petrolia, Commissioners, my name is Ronald Ferguson. I'm also 50 East Road, and just want to second what Arlen was saying about the noise. And I have to tell you, sometimes to me it seems like there's a racetrack on Atlantic. And I acknowledge the fact that the motor manufacturers are making exhaust pipes bigger and bigger, and there's nothing we can do about it. But maybe there's something we can do to just police it and avoid the noise, which is really affecting our way of life where we live. So that's one thing. On another topic, I play a lot of tennis in the tennis center. Okay, and there is a floodlight on Court 1 that is in danger of collapsing. And for about 6 months now, there has been no water on Court 9. So some of the maintenance issues, just the general day-to-day maintenance issues in the tennis center, give me some cause for concern. And I think that comes under the bailiwick of the municipality.
Absolutely, and that we are going to be. There's going to be some lights addressed in this in our
and there are other things going on.
Yeah.
There is no adoption of technology for booking courts. There's easy payment through iPhones, which there's so much could be done there, and it's a great resource. It brings people in to play tennis from other communities. So please keep that in mind. So two things: the noise, anything you can do, and the tennis court.
Okay, thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
Matthew Farley, Bar Terrace. Same old, same old. 4 years ago, our contingent came here because there was going to be a session about a noise ordinance. And I believe the city hired a noise expert from Boca Raton. And he was going to lay out the parameters of the problem. And then we learned in the meeting that the project was limited to the entertainment district. It had no impact on the racetrack known as East Atlantic Avenue. Well, it's still there, worse than ever. It is not a nuisance. It is a permanent, recurring impingement on the life and enjoyment of Del Rey. I have a solution. I'll take a police officer, any one of these, to dinner at Bohème. Anytime a car misbehaves on the street, he picks up a radio and says, "Red Corvette." On the other side of the bridge will be some flashing red lights. Issue a ticket. I don't care if it doesn't stick up. He still has to hire a lawyer. Rinse and repeat that. A couple of times a week, 2 or 3 hours a night. The word will get around that it's not a good idea to race 45 miles an hour, revving your engine towards a bridge. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Hello.
Hello.
So I'll make sure to turn my radio down whenever I drive through Del Rey because I don't want them to have to chase me. My name is Jeremy Pritchett, and I've been in South Florida resident for over 30 years. This is my home. My wife and I have owned our business in East Boca for over 27 years. We're grateful to be part of the Palm Beach community. I've been riding my bicycle on A1A for over 15 years, but during COVID, my passion for cycling really grew. I rode over 10,000 miles last year, which is almost double what I drove in my car. And pretty much everybody in our cycling community, 10,000 miles is a small amount. A lot of them are at 20,000 or more. So we do ride a lot. This past week, some of the leaders of the biggest cycling groups in Palm Beach got together to start working on the Florida Share the Road Coalition. I have several group leaders here today, including Cameron Oster from 3R Cycling Experience, Felipe Costa from Galera de Pedal, Janine Seeger from Alpha Cycling, and Christy Breslaw from Boca Tri. Plus, we have over 10 other group ride leaders that have pledged to assist us in this endeavor. Our groups together total thousands of riders, and if we included all of the Miami, Broward area riders, we could easily have 10,000 or more riders on any given Saturday. Our mission is to make A1A and Palm Beach counties safer for drivers and recreational traffic while preserving the beauty of the coastline, allowing the community members and our visitors to enjoy it, whether by foot, 2 wheels, or 4 wheels. We applaud this commission for your work that you're doing on the, I believe it's Walk, Bike, Delray Beach. I think that's a major step in the right direction of educating drivers, adding road signs, and the addition of bike lanes makes things safer for all recreational traffic. Boca Raton and Highland Beach also have similar initiatives in the works. Hillsborough Mile has already done it. They've already put in bike lanes. We were with them this morning. And I know that everybody knows at this point that Friday of last week, actually it was Thursday, we had a major accident on A1A. I want to explain what happened in this accident as much as we possibly can from what we know. Is a driver heading southbound decided to attempt to pass a car with a double line and ran right into the group that was coming northbound. So the cyclist did nothing wrong in this situation, and there was 10 to 12 riders. 7 of them were seriously injured. 3 were taken by a Trauma Hawk helicopter. We know 1 of them is still in the hospital, still in serious condition. My friend has already had multiple surgeries due to the accident. He just found out yesterday that he still has to have more surgery. So we're really just here to say that we want to figure out ways that we can solve this problem, and we're here to help. We're not here against anybody. We're here to help. Okay.
And we thank you for coming in and speaking.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for hearing us tonight, and thank you for your service to the community. I'm Michael Casper. I am a cancer physician. I am the medical director of the Lynn Cancer Institute at Boca Raton Regional Hospital and have an office here on Military Trail. And I've treated literally thousands of people in our community over the past 30 years. And I'm one of those crazy cyclists that you hear your constituents talking about. But what I'm here to tell you tonight is I'm not the only physician. There are about 20 of us at least that I know that are up and down A1A every weekend. And it's not just physicians, it's mothers, fathers, grandparents, it's prominent businessmen, lawyers, policemen, firemen. So it's members of the entire community that are out there. And what we're asking for is community education, just so everyone realizes that we are you. And we're out there, we have every right to the road. Most of us are following the laws, and most of us do understand the laws. You know, too often we hear we need cyclist education, or we hear, cyclists need to be educated. And that's what the response we've gotten, that, well, we'll educate the cyclists. But unfortunately, most of the cyclists know the laws because they're the ones getting hit, they're the ones getting pulled over. I've never once in 15 years seen a car pulled over for doing something egregious to a cyclist. But far too often, we're greeted rudely up and down A1A with middle fingers, with exhausts. People will actually slow down and then speed up and cover us in black soot. That happens on a fairly regular basis. So there's a real negative impact to cyclists in this community in South Florida. The rest of the world, that's not the way it is. I've been very fortunate to be able to travel around the world and cycle, and it's incredible how respectful and accepting the rest of the world is. They see cyclists as members of their community. They slow down, they wave. They don't mind waiting behind them for 3 or 4 seconds that it takes to pass. But in our community, people rev their engines, they speed up to 60, 70 miles an hour, and then they cut us off. So I'm just asking for community education because we are you. We're here, enjoying it just like everyone else. So I'm going to pass the rest of my time. I see a number of leaders here in the cycling community, and thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
Good evening, commissioners. My colleague Alejandro also asked if I could speak on his behalf. Would it be possible if I had his time in addition
You
to
have
that?
to have 6 to do that. So
Okay.
we have a rule that basically there would have to be 6 people that refuse to
Okay.
will not speak to give you 6 minutes.
I'll try to get it all in 3
All
minutes.
right, go ahead. Do the best you can.
All right, so thank you for having me this evening. My name is Cameron Oster. I'm a father of 2, husband, and resident of about 20 years, been cycling for about 15 years. Current business owner of an organization called 3R Cycling Experience. We are a productions company, produce events here in South Florida and Central Florida, down to Miami. Also, I'm involved in coordinating a race team of 4 athletes, 6 crew members, and 3 vehicles racing across America. Also host events internationally, right? So I have a lot of experience both with group events and more like single participant events on public roads. I want to take the opportunity to thank you all for all the achievements that you all have put forth in the city of Delray. I know that you've worked hard on achievements like the Blue Flag Beach Award, continuously putting in time, energy, and resources to like the promenade walk out along the beach. So I know that everyone in here is on the same page for doing everything in our power to bring international travelers, attract more residents, and really elevate what Delray Beach has to offer. So like Michael said, and Jeremy said, we're here really to help bring our experience to the table. To help evaluate. I know that throughout the course of the upcoming project that there's been a lot of studies done over the course of I think the last 7 years to identify pinch points and more areas that are prone to bike accidents, which many of which are going to be at the corner of Atlantic and A1A and then up and down A1A. So we just want to really kind of work with you and bring some knowledge base forward, some practical knowledge base as it applies to how the FDOT has their guidelines for bike facilities, and we acknowledge you all have implemented a lot of bike facilities already. But identifying some of these problem areas, maybe how can we implement some of the specific strategies that FDOT has developed through years of research to make A1A safer. So as an example, Alejandro was hit by a car when someone was leaving a parallel parking spot on A1A. They were facing north. They made an illegal U-turn, as we see over and over people do. So one of the ways that we can sort of hedge that risk is, instead of utilizing just a bike lane, FDOT has a standardized process for using sharrows. And so at that point, because it's a high risk point with doors opening and people pulling in and out of the parking spots, we can use a shared roadway process, paint the road, and then also I know coming into town there's a reduced speed limit of 30. I think that if we allowed FDOT or locally to do a time study out there, that we would, I would be, suffice to say that 85% of the traffic there would be moving at 20 to 25 miles an hour, right? So FDOT's standard for helping to develop speed limits is by that 85th percentile rule. So I think that there's a lot at play, that we can look at some specific areas and make some additional changes, really to elevate, like I said, the accomplishments that you all have made in different avenues of the city, including restaurants too, right? To elevate the likelihood for tourism, specifically for people that cycle, like Michael said, a lot of different people in the community.
Yep.
And we just want to help with that.
Thank you. I
So
appreciate that. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mayor,
Good evening.
Vice Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager. My name is Gerardo Castillo. I'm here this evening as a father, a husband. My wife's in Tallahassee tonight, so I'm playing
You're on
bad
duty.
a member of the business community.
And your address too, sir. I meant to get Cameron's too. I didn't get it.
1248 Vista Del Mar.
Thank you.
And a citizen of Delray Beach, I'm on A1A and Vista Del Mar.
Thank you.
And I'm here to support the message of increased bike safety. My messages are threefold. One is first to thank you all for the progress that you all have made. Delray Beach is ahead of the curve on what's happening throughout this region as it relates to not just bike infrastructure, but overall mobility. And that's where I want to really focus in my message, that this is about increased mobility and transportation. So needing all the options so that the car is not the only option. That the more options that we have, that people can walk safely, bike safely, and that with that, we're increasing mobility for all our community, number one. Number two, to thank you all for your business strategic plan. You on there have at least 3 goals: improved infrastructure, which is your priority number 1, your priority number 3, which is improving mobility and transportation, and your priority number 5, which deals with quality of life, health, and safety. That all of those encompass what my friends are here tonight talking about: increased education, increased infrastructure, not just bike, but overall transportation. And then thirdly, just coordination within the region. Obviously, priority number 3, you all have the development and creation of a bike and pedestrian master plan. That's going to go a long ways towards some of the things that we're talking about tonight. So thank you all for that. And then lastly, my request, as you all are looking at your capital improvements plan, you have 2 major bike and pedestrian projects in your capital improvement plan that are slated from 2025 to 2029, that if you all can look at those and see if they can be fast-tracked, maybe in next year's budget. And so I thank you all for your time, for your service, and we look forward to continuing to work with you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Garcia. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody. Your Mayor. My name is Alejandro Geraldo. I live in 11306 Northwest Sproul Avenue. I'm here to share my story, not only to support my community as one of the leaders of Cycling Club. I'm here to tell you what happened to me. I was on A1A riding Saturday in the morning. It was 7 a.m. I passed the Atlantic Light going north, and unfortunately a young girl in her 20s making a legal U-turn and run me over. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I'm a son. All I was trying to do is just, ride my bicycle with my friends. That had changed my life significantly. There's a few things that I want to point, and unfortunately this will include your police department. It took 4 weeks for you guys to release my report. Florida is an awful state. If I don't have all my insurance, I would be screwed. A lot of these drivers don't have insurance. And if we want to learn for our mistakes, and we want to learn for all the things that have happened, nothing would change. So I really please you to help us, make us all safe. I can be your son. I can be your husband. And thank you for your time and for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, hi, good evening. I'm here with some thanks and an ask. First, thank you all for everything you do for the city. Madam Mayor, I don't know if I have another opportunity, but thank you for everything that you've done for us. You've always been both approachable and responsive, and we thank you for that. I do want to thank Edward Ferguson because I did support him when he ran, and to see that he's living up to his promises is really genuinely appreciated by many of us. And I have to thank our police force. I've lived here for 20 years. Before I even moved here, my mother said, "You're going to love Delray Beach." They have the most fabulous police force. So thank you for all you do for us every day.
Need your name.
My name is Rita Rana, and I am a Delray Beach resident at 50 East Road. Thank you so much. All right, so that was my thank. Here is my ask. We had a former commissioner, Commissioner Julie Casal, come out to our building, and we all talked to her about the noise that was happening in the building. She said she'd get back to us. We never heard from her. Okay, we got a lot of people here that are genuinely concerned. Now, I just do not want to make this a building issue. I was walking down the Atlantic Avenue with some friends the other day, and there was a car that was literally backfiring specifically to make it sound like bullet sounds. It was, disturbing. All right, that happens. But what happens regularly, which I really, this is my ask to you, Manager Moore. I know that Arlen has written you a 9-page letter. All right, there's a lot of information there, but you have his email address. My ask is, this is not just a building issue. I don't think any one of you can tell me that you've had dinner out on the avenue and you don't hear the motorcycles and some of the cars so loud that it's disturbing, right? And you go to some nearby cities and you don't get that. So there has to be something easy that's not really so costly for us to step up our game, to kind of just make it a little bit more pleasant. Okay, so Manager Moore, I'm just going to ask you because we would like somebody to get back to us. If you do agree that this is indeed an issue, I'm going to ask you to please contact Arlen via his email and say, dear Mr. Dominic, this is what we have decided to do. So thank you very much, all of you. Thank you again, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Anyone else? Let me address two things since we have the people who are here with the bike situation. Last meeting, we did approve our master plan for our pedestrian bicycle plans. And one of the things is that they do have a list of where they're going to be going next. And one of the things that I did suggest, and hopefully the commission that is here, that will be moving beyond me, because I'm going to be leaving in March for sure, is that we push A1A up to the top of that list. That's probably one of the most prevalently ridden areas for bicycles through our town. And it's probably one of the more or less safe. It's not really been designed to handle right now bikes, pedestrian, and cars. So I think that would be probably the top position to try to make that much safer for those that are traveling, especially on the weekends, back and forth. So that was my ask. Hopefully the the commission will carry that forward, and Mr. Moore will make that happen for the city in the upcoming budget year. Yes, Vice Mayor.
Just since we are making comments while the audience is here, there is a bill, SB 688. It's the Alternative Mobility Bill. Currently today, any impact fees from development in Delray Beach, 97% goes to the county, and the county spends those funds where they want to spend those funds, which is usually out west for growth, and 3% stays here in the city approximately. This would change that for any city that has been proactive and put a bike ped master plan together and a mobility study and a curbside study, all those things that we've done or are doing. Any help? I know Mr. Long and Deputy Vice Mayor Long and Commissioner Frankel were the two commissioners that made it to Tallahassee and weren't diverted, like Commissioner Burns and I. And they were up there advocating for it, and I believe it passed the first.
Yeah, Ms. Berman, it actually passed unanimously in the committee that it was in, which was great. Because there were some folks lobbying against it as well. The county has a different approach to it, but our state senator approved it basically what the municipalities want, which benefits us, and it was a big win for us.
Yeah.
Still has a long way to go, but we can do what we can do here. We don't have to rely on others as well. It's great to have the help and to hope for this to come.
I'm not saying one over the other.
Yeah.
What I am saying is that you saw our bike ped plan.
Yeah.
It was over $100 million. And if you're looking for some of these things to be sped up or moved forward, we are going to need some funds that should be staying here anyways. These are impact fees from development that's being built right here in our city, and it needs to stay here in our city for alternative mobility.
So make the ask. People who are here, you all can lobby that as well.
Advocate for 688.
It helps us, So that would be something good.
Yep.
And the second thing I wanted to mention is that we all know there's noise up on Atlantic Avenue. I have been a commissioner here now in this seat for 11 years, and I mean, from the very beginning, it has been something that has been told to us. Now, one of the things I have to say, and this is something I can say to Mr. Moore, we have got the trucks off of the avenue for the most part, and that was through our great efforts by our police force. They see the truck going down, they stop it, they ticket it, and now all of a sudden, guess what? It is working. And I think that one of the persons who came up here explained that same very thing. You get change our ideas, get somebody on one end to report who's coming down, start ticketing, that message will get out and it will stop happening. So this is how you do things, this is how we can get this done. We went through a very expensive noise ordinance, and with all of the things that are going on. And noise ordinance is not just for the downtown district. The noise ordinance expands across the city, so we can utilize what is acceptable and not acceptable in order to be able to make sure that we can start closing in on that noise source. And Mr. Moore, if you don't mind making sure that you do get back to the commission, I'm going to let my colleagues speak. I know we don't normally do this, but go ahead.
I thought I'd share a conversation I had with our city attorney when I was driving back from Stewart this afternoon. My experiences this afternoon, I saw a retrofitted UPS truck parked on Atlantic Avenue with a guitar and singer performing. That was across from Johnny Brown's. It was right near Urban Outfitter. I saw the church group, which I sent a great picture to our police chief and bothered him on Sunday with speakers, which is not allowed. And you couldn't get through any ADA if you had a wheelchair or anything because they were blocking the intersection. And I also saw a wonderful saxophone player in front of SALT with 2 speakers yesterday. I guess there was a special Monday performance. And also, not only are the traffic problems on Atlantic Avenue, which not only does it happen near the bridge, but it also happens on the corner of East Atlantic and Swinton when you're going to West Atlantic. I saw that a bunch yesterday, but also Federal Highway's really bad. I hear it at night because my town is in Federal Highway, so I agree with all the speakers.
Yeah, I think we all do. Yeah. And so we need to make that a priority.
Yeah, that would be great.
Ladies and gentlemen, all set. Frankly, I've already began engaging with leadership of the Delray Beach Police Department and others to come up with specific strategies. So what I anticipate offering to you, Mr. Dominic, because I do acknowledge previous communications, is not so much an email communication, but a follow-up visit to also include everybody else involved in the process. You'll be hearing from my office tomorrow. So I look forward to that, ladies and gentlemen, and therefore we are all in the same accord. So we'll be in touch and we'll go from there. So Chief Major, members of the team, you know what I'm talking about. So I think we're on our way. Thank you.
Deputy Vice Mayor?
Yeah, and I appreciate that we're doing these comments now while the folks are still here. You guys won't have to sit through the whole meeting yet. You know, it's been going a little long lately. So I want to thank the folks who came from the Florida Share the Road Coalition. I'm an avid cyclist myself, and I think my bike team, Bill Bone Bike Law, is part of that coalition. And I think it's a great thing to offer the education that we need. And I agree with one of the speakers that mentioned sort of a negative cultural disposition towards cyclists in South Florida. And it's extremely unfortunate, but I think more information and education is how we can help correct that long term. And I think that, especially as it pertains to this accident, that's a road I've ridden on many times. So it's really terrifying for those of us that ride that road to see that video of what happened to those folks. I think that there are real efforts that we can make through lobbying and advocacy, and maybe it's pressuring the Department of Transportation or the town of Gulfstream. I don't know what the strategy is, but I'd love to work with the Share the Road Coalition to figure that out, because I know it's been an ongoing battle to get either bike lanes or some kind of speed control in that part of Gulfstream. It's gone on too long. This isn't the first accident that's happened there because there's no bike lanes. And so I think there are things that we can do, and I'd love to work with you guys, and I appreciate you coming and offering to work with us, because I think there's a lot of subject matter experts that we just heard from tonight. And so I think that we should really take you up on that offer and figure out a way to work together. So thank you again. And thanks again from the folks from Barteris that came in today. I agree with everything that you're saying. And I just wanted to ask, we do have a noise ordinance that's currently in the works. Will that offer any additional enforcement mechanisms once it's passed, as far as some of the issues that were brought up tonight?
Yes, and just to be clear, we do have a current noise ordinance that can be utilized, and I'm happy to meet with staff to go over the best way to do it. But yes, it'll be citywide, and it'll address the decibels as opposed to subjective enforcement.
Very good. And Cameron, if you can make sure that you put your name and your address, because I don't think you mentioned it up here, just make sure it's on that list.
I'll stress out about the 3 minutes.
That's quite all right. It's quite all right. Anyway, I just meant to mention that. If there's no other speakers, I'm going to close the public comment, and thank you all for coming. Moving on to 5C1, which was the issue that I brought up. I'll let you guys exit. Exit nice and quietly.
Have fun, Adam.
Good to see
Thank
you.
you. All right, so I'm going to hand these out. This is just for each one of you to be able to have, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4 going this way and 2 going that way. This is just some background information that I was able to bring up that you can go through and see the different times and periods that we have dealt with water issues, water billing issues, some as high as 6 figures, $50,000, $25,000. So this is not something that's new to the city. I was quite surprised to read some of my quotes way back when, because I've totally forgotten about them, being so upset about this even happening. Mr. Moore is actually in one of these when he was early on, kind of like right after he was hired, September 30th, he was interviewed. And within that a particular one interview, he does go on to say that we have some, basically stopgap measures to keep this from happening in the future. But yet we're still dealing with it, and that's where it becomes that this is happening for too long. And that's the reason why I asked to have the commission consider an organizational change-up. We have a very unusual system where our public doesn't really recognize that they have to go to the finance department about their water bill. And it does kind of silo off the issues of meter reading and also the water billing from the utilities department. So it feels like, and it has felt like it in the past, that we have this kind of thing going on. We have this, everybody's pointing a finger, but nobody really is getting to the bottom of the problem. And the reason that I think that it will be much less complicated is that if you have one department that is responsible for the billing, for the meter reading, for the actual water, and also the water quality, all under one roof, it makes it so that there is responsibility right there and accountability. We're not having, fingers pointing in different directions. And I'm not looking for, this isn't a witch hunt, I'm not looking for a bad guy. What I'm looking for is resolve. Again, you're going to find that this is 2020 and beyond, and before that even, that this has been going on. And this is, there are people who have now reached out to me since this last meeting where we discussed this, where they told me that they paid $1,000 bills. They never ever even called us because they just assumed that they were correct. And this was during these time frames. So there's a lot of people who were not even calling in. They had the means to pay it. They paid it because they were threatened that the water was going to be turned off. Nobody called them, but it says it right on there. Your water is going to be interrupted if you don't pay the bill. So they paid the bill. But people like Winters, the woman, Melanie Winters. They're no longer even living here, but they reached out to me to let me know that they got one of those crazy bills. So, and there was a couple others. We've had churches call me that have gotten these crazy bills. So this is much more widespread than was anticipated. I think that the one thing that was not answered also, we're saying that this is a badger system problem. There's a communication not going, so that there's several meters that are they're not sending the communication, so they have to be read, and we're estimating on those until we get out to read them. If that's the case, and this is the question I have for my colleagues, and we're averaging their bill, okay, so their average bill for the last 12 months has been $250. So we average the bill and we're sending them the $250, but we're telling them we're estimating. But then all of a sudden they get a $5,000 bill, a $3,000 bill to make up the difference. What I'm trying to say to you is that isn't the sole problem. I don't know that we've really got to the real issue of the problem. If you look at these bills, you'll see that the water consumption is 30, 29, 30, 31, 29, and then all of a sudden 200, and then 30, 29. You look at that and that's a problem. Nobody uses that much water in 1 month or a change up in that kind of a monthly read. So if you look at what these bills that are coming through, where the aberration happens, there's something else going on here. I don't know what it is. I'm not smart enough to figure that out. But I think that our water department could possibly figure it out. I don't know that, where it is right now is, the finance director, as being the top guy, is able to figure that out. And that's why I'm saying I think this needs to go back over to the utility billing, so that everything's in one area. Now, I also want to mention to you, because I think this is really important, some of the things that we learned last week or the week and a half ago when we were speaking. So we have over 30 encoders right now that are not operational.
30%.
Right.
30%.
Rough. It's over 30%.
Okay, I didn't.
Yeah.
I heard
so,
someone that heard you. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's about 7,000 meters. Okay. So if we have the capacity of the 3 meter readers that we have on staff that are reading 500 meters a day, that's what they were giving us, to read 10,000 meters in a month, why is anybody being estimated? Why is there any estimation going on? That was never answered. So how in the world can we get these $1,000 meters? We have the capacity to read them according to what we were given as far as information yesterday. The other concern that I have is that, and Miss Andrea told us that it is these encoders breaking down or going defunct is on the rise. She said that this is escalating in the last month. It was 20% when I found out about it in December, and now it's over 30%. So if they're increasing, what about the 15,000 meters that are left that are heading towards the end of the warranty period? What's going to happen if all of those start to go out? We got a problem on our hands here that we need to have resolved. And it's not just by way of giving back. That's losing taxpayer money. That's losing the money that's coming in, should be coming into the city. But I can't see to it that we should bill somebody a $5,000 or a $1,000 bill when they're used to paying $200 a month. I just couldn't see that as being an
We
okay.
all
And I think
agreed.
you all
Yeah.
agreed.
Yeah.
Exactly. So what I'm saying is that this is a multifaceted problem that has not been resolved for years. This isn't something that just started yesterday. This is something that's been ongoing for a long time, and it's getting bigger. So my recommendation is to get that department underneath the utility billing, the utilities department with the utility billing, so that we can start that process to get to the bottom of the problem, number one. And number two, that we have our city attorney be very involved in this. She has not been involved in any of the Badger conversations. And the fact that this is a warranty situation that we have, by the way, paid for additional encoders, even though they're on warranty, under warranty, to the tune of $700,000. I don't know if you guys know that or not. That's my understanding. So we're losing money, we're losing ground, and we're not resolving the issue. And so it is my recommendation that we basically make sure that the city attorney is involved here, because in these discussions, because she should be involved in hammering about this warranty and whether or not it's going to affect these other 17,000 or whatever it is, 15,000 that are left. So I would recommend those two things to my colleagues in order to be able to get to the bottom of this, and let's try and get this thing resolved once and for all. Yes, ma'am.
Well, I agree with some of the things that I'm hearing, that it is a problem. It's not a problem that just started yesterday. This has been going on for a number of years. And I agree that it would be a good idea to have our attorney get involved in terms of the warranty. However, I'm not understanding how a technical problem is going to be solved by putting the finance part. I'm totally confused with that part.
Well, although it may have started with a technical problem, that technical problem created a billing problem, and then that billing problem maybe is showing us some operational opportunities or issues. I think that's what the mayor's getting to, and it's not new.
Right.
That element is not new. Well, I was thinking after our workshop earlier today that is the absolute first thing that I would put this new auditing firm on, with their background with technology, with their background on finding funds, with their background on a lot of the examples they give of what they do in other cities. This would be the first thing. And not to say that we shouldn't go with your recommendation of start moving in that direction, but I'm not convinced that alone would fix it.
Well, it probably isn't, but it's not working there, and it hasn't for years.
Yeah.
From my perspective, we need to pull this back together. We need to put it under the same umbrella. And Mr. Hajimiri gets the reports, but he doesn't get the bills. So there's a disconnect. He doesn't know when someone's getting sent out a high bill for the reports of the amount of water that's being used. So it's a very disconnected, disorganized kind of happening that's allowing these things to take place.
I just don't want to create any unforeseen issues. Like I would love to hear from staff.
I'm not talking about anybody. I'm not talking about anybody changing jobs. I'm saying everybody stays in their position. It's just that it filters up to somebody who actually has a handle on water consumption, and also what should be billed and what should not be billed.
Yeah, I would just want to hear why we don't do that today, either from Mr. Moore. I would also like to hear
spoke
from
with
the
Mr.
department
Moore
heads.
and Mr. Hajimiri and Mr. Dunkley about this after you brought it up, Mayor. All three of them said this was not a good idea to move this department over, because I wanted to have this discussion. I think it made sense to have it, but so that's why I investigated and looked into it. And apparently, it is best management practice in cities our size to have utility billing under finance.
Why don't you ask Mr. Moore how many, what the percentages of the billings of the different company or cities that have the
Well, before I ask that, I want to finish my point, which is that I agree with the Vice Mayor in that if we are going to consider making a move like that, I'd like to have more information. And I think having our new internal auditor look at that issue and see if that is a possible solution, along with what other issues we may discover in that process. But at this time, given the direction that I got from our directors and our city manager, who would be the ones overseeing this, I don't think it's the appropriate time to make that move.
Well, listen, I can tell you that if you were receiving a bill like these guys out here are receiving a bill, I'd say that they'd say it was past time to try and make a change in order to be able to make this
I
thing.
did receive a bill that's going to be corrected, so I know exactly how they felt.
You got a big bill?
I did.
Okay. Well, it's due time. I don't know what the big deal is. The majority of municipalities basically have it all under one umbrella. Makes sense. Yes, Commissioner
Thank
Franco.
you. My colleagues actually brought up the two things I was going to say. In one of the articles you provided in the red file, it talked about the former interim city manager said there was going to be an audit.
That's correct.
I don't
Never
think
had
it was ever done.
Never had it.
So I would agree. I probably won't be here, but I think that's a great idea to have the outside firm. That would be, project number one. And then, while Mr. Long brought it up, but I always look at you. Whenever I look at you, Ryan, I think of best practices. What are other cities doing? And maybe the auditing firm would be able to answer that question. So those were the two things that came into my mind when I read the file and thought about this during our discussion last week.
All right, so then that's, I guess, when we negotiate and hire on and have them this will be the first thing, and they should take on the enterprise fund as well and just
Top
make
priority.
sure that they look, huh?
Top priority.
Top all the way down. And let me also say that, that enterprise fund is also something that really kind of is concerning to me. Do you get a copy of it,
Can we,
Vice Mayor?
should that be on a
I'm just
different
asking,
agenda
do you ever
item?
get a copy of that, or do you ever get a chance to look at it? Well, I wouldn't even know what I was looking at if I did. Do you ever get that?
Yeah, well, only during budget time do we review that.
I don't think I've ever received it during budget time, but I'm just telling you, I think that, that is something that is, I don't know who's looking at it. Who's got the checks and balances there? That needs to be a top priority too when we're having this auditing firm look into the into this thing. Finally, okay, so I think that you've made the decision that we will allow the auditing company to make this a top priority and a first priority from top to bottom, everything in the billing department and the inclusive of the enterprise fund. Yes?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
sounds good.
Yes.
One other question, Mr. Moore. Did you, after I had the conversation with you on our meeting last Monday, start making calls to my colleagues about my adding this on?
No, I talked to a couple about it. I talked to a couple about the fact that there's a discussion pending, but it was really just follow up in that regard.
Okay, so you did call out. Thank you. All right, moving on.
But it wasn't for purposes of.
Okay.
Mr. Moore and I discussed it during our normal scheduled call, for the record.
We are moving on to consent agenda approval as amended.
Motion to approve is amended.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Boylston?
Yes.
Ms. Burns?
Yes.
Mayor Petrolia?
Yes.
Mr. Franco?
Yes.
Mr. Long?
Yes.
Okay, moving on to 7A, which is our regular agenda, resolution number 02-24. And this is a quasi-judicial
Item
item, yes, and
A,
we
B, and
also
C.
have A, B, and C are all quasi-judicial. So at this point, I'm going to read the quasi-judicial rules into the record. This hearing shall be conducted in accordance with quasi-judicial rules. The applicant and the city will be allowed 15 minutes each to present their case. The public will be allowed to speak for 3 minutes each, or a maximum of 6 minutes if the person represents an organization or a group of people who are present but agree not to speak. The city commission, staff, and the applicant may be allowed to cross-examine a witness. The city or the applicant will be allowed to offer rebuttal testimony. The decision to approve or deny an application or appeal may not be legally made upon personal views as to whether a project is a good project or not, nor may a decision be based on the number of citizens who support or oppose a particular project. The law requires that all decisions must be made on the basis of whether the project meets the requirement of law, the comprehensive plan, and the land development regulations. At this point, if there's anybody here that is going to be wanting to speak to 7A Resolution 02-24, 7B Resolution 15-24, or Resolution number 20-24, which is 7C, item 7C on the agenda, please stand, raise your hand, and be sworn in.
Raise your right hands, please. By the authority vested in me as a notary of the state of Florida, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, yes. Okay, so ex parte communication for 7A, and that is Black Star 318 Southeast 5th Avenue. Deputy Vice Mayor, anything?
None.
Anything for the Commissioner?
None.
Anything for Commissioner Barnes? And
Nope.
Deputy Vice
Nothing.
Mayor? No? And nothing for me. Okay, so what we're going to do is have the staff go ahead and enter the file into the record.
Good evening, Anthea Geniotis, Development Services Director, and I'd like to enter file 2023-200 into the record, and the applicant is here with an overview of the request.
Very good. You've got the floor.
Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. For the record, Jexy Chamber, Principal Planner of Urbana, located at 950 Peninsula Corporate Circle, Boca Raton, Florida, 33487. And I'm here on behalf of the property owner, 318 Southeast 5th Avenue LLC, asking your approval for a final plat. This particular plat is a composition of 6 different lots. They are located on the southwest corner of Southeast 3rd Street and Southeast 5th Avenue, and it's about the combined total 6 lots, about 0.88 acres. These, all of these parcels combined have the commercial core land use designation and the central business district zoning designation, and is within the central core sub-district. A little bit of background regarding these particular lots. Lots 1 and 2 have a duplex that was constructed in 1948, but that was demolished in 2018. Lots 3 and 4 have a multifamily business that was done in 1952. Again, it was demolished in 2018. Lot 5 has a single-family home that was constructed in 1953, and one more time it was demolished in 2018. Now, Lot 6 have a single-family home with about 800 square feet of commercial use that was constructed in 1912. The single-family home was demolished. However, the actual commercial structure is still there today. I believe one of the conditions of approval as part of this application is to ensure that the building is demolished and to get a CO prior to mayor signing the approval of the plat. This is a development that was recently approved for these particular parcels. It was a Class 5 site plan that was approved through the Site Plan Review and Appearance Board for a mixed-use development containing about 4,500 square feet of commercial space on the ground and 26 multifamily units with all the requirements it is per your code. And again, this plat is to ensure that it's in place for this development. One more time, I'm asking your approval to combine lots 1 and 6 of the Osceola Park plat to create one boundary for this mixed-use development that was approved early last year. This is the proposed plat that is composed of 3 different tracts. The tract in yellow is the development tract. The one in blue is about 1,200 square feet of street and utility purpose that will be donated to the city of Delray. And the one in red, it's under 100 square feet that will be donated to FDOT in perpetuity for road access. Staff has reviewed this application and found that it's consistent with your goal, objectives, and policies of the Always Delray Comprehensive Plan in all of the LDR sections. That's all I have for this evening.
Okay.
Thank you, and I'm here to answer any questions.
Thank you so much. So we'll go to staff report.
Yes, it's a fairly brief presentation. I think you have a good overview of the application. Just to be clear, the effective date of the resolution is what is being held until the remaining structure. I don't know if staff's presentation is coming. is being held until the existing building can be demolished. We receive a certificate of completion, and then the plat will move forward for final execution and recordation. So it's not a condition. It's more of the effective date of your approval is delayed until that structure is removed. So, I don't know if Raphael, do you have a presentation up there? I don't think that there's anything I had to handle. I was going to look really quickly to make sure there were no specific findings that you needed to make. I will read the reso real quickly. So Planning and Zoning Board reviewed the plat proposal on November 27th, 2023, and recommended approval for certification by a vote of 6-0. And so I'm here if you have any questions.
Okay. So this is a quasi-judicial hearing, so if there's anybody here that would like to speak to Resolution 02-24, now would be the time to step forward, state your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes. Seeing no one moving. Okay. I think it's safe to close out public comment, and we'll move back to any rebuttal or cross-examination testimony. Rebuttal testimony, did you want to?
No, ma'am.
No, and
Thank you.
none for this, okay, for the city. All right, to the commission. Anything? Anything? No?
Pretty
Let's make a
simple.
motion.
All right. Motion to approve agenda item 7A.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Ms. Burns?
Yes.
Mayor Petrolia?
Yes.
Mr. Frankel?
Yes.
Mr. Long?
Yes.
Mr. Boylston?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you
That
so
was
much.
very brief, and we appreciate that. 7B, Resolution 15-24. This is also quasi-judicial, and so I've already read the rules in. We're going to ask for any ex parte communication. This is the private school for adults up on South Federal Highway. So is there any ex parte communication to the Deputy Vice Mayor?
Nope.
No.
Anything?
No.
No? Okay, so we have none. We'll go ahead and enter the file into the record.
And Anthea Geniotis, Development Services Director, I'd like to enter file 2024-018 into the record. And Ms. Belinsky is here
Yes.
with a presentation. Thank
Okay, Ms. Belinsky, it's all yours.
Hi, good evening. For the record, Christina Belenke, Dunning, Miskell, and Backman. My address is 14 Southeast 4th Street in Boca Raton. It's a pleasure to be here this evening on behalf of the Language Exchange. So we are seeking to utilize a tenant space. It's about 3,215 square feet within Dumar Plaza. It's located on the east side of Federal Highway. It's a 2.9 acre site total. You probably know it driving by because Tim Finnegan's is probably the most prevalent use in that plaza. It's located across from Toyota. There's an RV park, furniture store to the south, and then you have your neighborhood Walmart plaza. The future land use for the site is general commercial, and the zoning is planned commercial. And again, we're seeking to utilize a little over 3,000 square feet for a language school for adults. And I'll go into it a little bit more, but again, it's a space that's fronting on Federal Highway, so you see Tim Finnegan's there, and it's the space adjacent to that. And so the code allows for private schools or similar uses within the PC zoning district subject to conditional use approval. I think for the most part, this was intended for private schools for children. When you look at the land development regulations and the criteria that accompany it, it's intended to meet, or you have to provide a certain number of square footage per child. There's loading and unloading requirements for buses. There's stacking spaces for drop-offs for students. Those types of items don't really apply for this language school for the adults, where again, adults, people 16 or older, will be either driving themselves, using public transportation to get to the site, and go about their daily lives, whether they're going to work during the day and learning this language at night, or vice versa. So a little bit about the language exchange. They've been teaching English for over 40 years. Again, the program is geared to adults, and they focus on kind of a comprehensive nature of the English language. So writing, reading, speaking, and listening. Their goal is really to make sure that their students come out with a full knowledge and confidence and comfort level with the English language, really so that they can seek meaningful employment. So that's their goal, that the students coming out of here are able to speak confidently, comfortably, and enhance their employment opportunities. It is a program that's fully accredited by the U.S. Customs and Immigration Services. They allow for certain student visas. And they've been offering virtual classes over the last few years since COVID started, and they're now required to return to in-person lessons for their continued accreditation. So currently they're offering 2 classes, one in the morning, one in the evenings. It's Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. through 1:30, and then an evening session, 6 p.m. through 10:30. Classes will be further split and divided based on kind of the knowledge level and skill levels. So here are your required findings. First is consistency with the land use map. Again, the use is permitted within the PC zoning district, which is a preferred zoning district under the GC land use. Your staff report kind of goes into the concurrency standards. School is not applicable. Talks about water and sewer, drainage, solid waste. There's sufficient capacity. It was reviewed for the plaza at the time of site plan approval. And also we do have a traffic letter from Palm Beach County noting that it does not have significant peak hour traffic and meets the TPS standards of Palm Beach County. It also requires consistency with the comprehensive plan and compliance with the land development regulations. So in terms of consistency and compliance with the city's comprehensive plan, I think it's important to note a couple of these policies in particular that really stand out in terms of enhancing educational opportunities for adults. So under the education element, Objective EDU 3.4 speaks to bridging the relationship with educational partners by coordinating and supporting extended learning opportunities for residents and local businesses. Policy EDU 3.4.2 speaks to coordinating, again, with educational partners to develop and implement programs that provide adult education and workforce training for Delray Beach residents, and that place residents in targeted industry occupations. And then we have the economic prosperity element, Objective ECP 1.3, speaks to helping more Delray Beach residents find local employment opportunities and improve their job readiness, which is exactly what this program is intended for. And Objective ECP 5.1 speaks to identifying barriers to an inclusive economy and developing a plan to address obstacles to increase employment opportunities, again, with language being a barrier for many people. In addition to the findings on the previous slides, the Commission must make a finding related to LDR Section 2.4.6A5, that it shall not have a significantly detrimental effect on the stability in the neighborhood with which it is located, or hinder development or redevelopment of nearby properties. And so again, the proposed development site is 3,000 square foot tenant bay within an existing commercial plaza that has both, daytime service uses as well as nighttime uses, with Tim Finnegan's being next door. It is located in an area that has heavy automotive uses and along a main commercial corridor in the city. The maximum in-person enrollment of 100 students will be broken down again into morning and evening sessions. The maximum students at one time will be 50 students, so no more than that in person at any given time. Again, it's distinguishable from most other private school uses that would fall under this category because there are no children. This is a use intended to serve adults. Again, we have the TPS approval that confirms the use does not have significant peak hour traffic, and there's ample parking for existing and proposed uses on the property. And again, just going back to the LDR section that speaks to private schools and other educational facilities, the staff report does break that down into more detail in Appendix A, but staff has made a finding that the language school complies with the LDRs and the use is not anticipated to pose negative impacts on the surrounding properties or to negatively impact the existing businesses within the plaza. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have this evening.
Thank you. Staff?
Okay, so resolution number 1524. Again, I won't go over the facts that Ms. Blinky put on the record regarding land use and zoning is all accurate in terms of that it requires a conditional use, the location of the site on South Federal Highway and the surrounding uses. The school that is it's the LDR that actually caps enrollment of private schools to 100 students. In this case, the resolution before you actually stipulates that no more than 50 of those 100 students will be in attendance at a time. So ultimately what's interesting is that the plaza has sufficient parking for 100 students. There's more than enough, and even with 100 students, there's a surplus of parking, so there isn't an anticipated negative impact that would result from that is expected. However, the rules are sort of anticipating children who don't drive, to be fair. So, but ultimately, after looking at this, even though it may not be the exact use or the exact student body that perhaps the LDR is originally written for, there is not any significant detrimental effect. It seems like a good location for this type of use. Again, there's parking. The resolution would hold the function of the business to the stipulated hours, and they, based on their own business practice, it's not a consistent. There's like the morning classes and the evening classes, because it really is geared towards adults. So it's probably going to be even fewer people than is expected on site. Okay, so when it came to concurrency, though, this is why that issue was there. The TPS letter from the county did indeed find that there was no significant impact that was anticipated, but it evaluated a student body of 50, which is why the LDR says 50 at a time. You know, if the TPS letter was to get changed, it may not result in any other change, but this is the fact that we have before us, and so the resolution is geared towards that. And again, many of the requirements within section 4.3.3 HHH really gears towards like open space for children to play, that don't really apply to this type of use. I don't want to like go over the parking again. I'm trying to be quick. So again, there would be morning, afternoon sessions. It is, again, we don't stipulate those. It's the entire 9:30 to 10:30 window. Again, Planning and Zoning Board did review it in December, the December 18th, 2023 meeting, and they recommended approval 5-0, but they were concerned, like, capture it within those operating hours, that it really not go beyond 10:30 at night, consistent with the code. So I can't think of anything else I need to add. I think we had a good overview from the applicant, but I'm here if you have any questions.
All right, great. All right, so this is again a quasi-judicial hearing. So if there's anybody here that would like to speak to Resolution 15-24, now would be the time to step forward, state your name and address, and then you'll have 3 minutes. Seeing no one, public comment is closed. Any cross or rebuttal testimony to the applicant or the city? No? All right, so it's to the commission. I mean, listen, I think that even at the 10:30 timeframe, Tim Finnegan's goes until the wee hours. And so this is an area that I've never gotten a complaint about noise or anything like that, even though I know that there's people who live behind there. I don't think this is something that would not fit right there, and I think it's just fine by me.
I agree.
Okay, yeah,
agree.
so entertain a motion.
Motion to approve item 7B.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mayor Petrolia?
Yes.
Mr. Frankel?
Yes.
Mr. Long?
Yes.
Mr. Boylston?
Yes.
Ms. Burns?
Yes.
All right.
Thank you for your time this
Congratulations.
evening.
Good luck.
Appreciate
Yep.
it.
All right, moving on to Resolution 20-24. And again, this is a quasi-judicial hearing, so what we're going to do is, first of all, see if there's any ex parte communication. This has to do with a second boat lift for 928 McCleary Street. So let's start with Vice Mayor.
Nope, nothing.
Anything?
No.
No, none for me?
None.
Okay. And then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and have the city go ahead and enter the file into the record, please.
Good evening, Anthea Geniotis, Development Services Director again. I'd like to enter file 2024-036 into the record. And while this is being conducted similar to a waiver in that it's before this board, this is actually considered a modifications of the standards of approval for this type of use. And the applicant is going to give you an overview, and then I'll follow up. Thank
Okay,
you.
very good. Mr. Applicant.
Hello, my name is Akbar, and I'm the contractor for the boat lift. And we're requesting a waiver for the second lift to be installed, as the code states that there is only one boat lift allowed to be installed per property. The homeowner actually has 2 lots on his property, so it's 2 split lots that's joined as one. And the first boat lift that he has installed is for his boat lift, for his boat. It's a large vessel that he has. And currently we moved the lift more center to the house, so that we could place our second boat lift, which actually will be the jet ski platform lift. And normally this homeowner actually have a floating jet ski platform that's in the water that floats. And he has that for a while, and the biggest issue that he was having is his floating platform was experiencing a lot of substantial damage for the wakes nearby there, because in the coastal he lives close to has a high-speed wakes going on. The people drive boats very fast, and it's not like the other residential area where you have a low wake zone or no wake zone. This is a high wake zone area, so his floating platform is sustaining a lot of damage in it, and we could not find a place to safely relocate his jet skis. So we are proposing to have a second jet ski lift installed next to his boat lift, and closer away from in the coastal, closer in the canal. And the square footage is just the same size as the floating platform. It's just the other difference. It just lifts the jet ski out of the water, the whole platform out of the water. So the only thing that's in the water is the beam. And this location, the picture, that's where the proposed jet ski platform is going to go installed. Is the distance is far enough from the boat lift for the vessels and not interfere. And since it's right by the right on the dock, it could be installed on the mounted on the dock, so it's not going to impede any navigation issues. And we will make sure that it's providing enough setback to meet the city code, and not go over the riparian right line of any other neighbors. The black map over there. So now, not to mention that there's a neighbor that lives right across from his house. Already has a boat lift and a jet ski platform installed on his property, plus the floating platform as well. He has 3 different devices. So with that in mind, that he should be able to have one if the other neighbors around it already have 2 lifts installed there, incentive for the codes. So we really just to make sure they keep his jet ski nice and safe. And that way, I did my inspection on the jet ski platform, and the has is really terrible. And if it's a really bad storm, hurricane might happen, it can rip the pinions off, and that floating platform can drift off and hit other neighbors. So it's much more safer for him to have the the jet ski platform lift to just take them out of the water. That's it.
Thank you. We'll go to the staff report.
Okay. Okay, so this is a modification of the standards for approval that you're considering in Resolution 2024. This is the subject property, and as the applicant stated, try this. Nope. Okay. I don't know. IT doesn't like me today. Okay, so you can see the parcel that is outlined in red, that it is actually quite long. It has more canal frontage than the average lot that is there. And so we'll get into that again. It is surrounded by R1 AAB zoning around it, and so the rule Article 7.9 regulates all of the things that we use to enjoy the water in the city. 7.9 states that, or 7.9.4 allows for a modification of the regulations if the building official has determined that the modification doesn't constitute a life safety or welfare issue, in which case it shifts to being up to the city commission to decide. So the building official has provided a determination that the proposed boat lift in the proposed location does not constitute an unsafe situation or endanger public safety. Therefore, it's before this board tonight for consideration. So LDR section 7.911 states that a plot can have only one boat lift. And I'm sure the applicant is accurate that he sees more than one in some places. That happens. However, two wrongs don't make a right, so we're going to try to assess this on its individual merit, specifically the long, the extra wide lot, and the positions that are proposed to you in this exact application. Boat lifts in general, as you know, we've had some issues with them over time because the rule is that the vessel in the upright position cannot be closer than 10 feet to the neighbors. So in this case, what's proposed moves the boat lift, right, that's already there, that might have a vessel of varying sizes over time, more center to the actual lot in question, meaning away from the neighbors. And then the proposed jet ski is located in jet ski lifts. Correct me if I'm wrong. The platform,
elevated.
Right? But the jet skis are perpendicular to the dock, so they're not going to be closer to the neighbors than what is before you with the platform. So I think that is an important aspect, not only the size of the lot, but the configuration that is proposed to move the jet ski lift in and sort of hold it at that exact dimension, which is over 20 feet away from the neighbor as well. It's a large parcel. It's 191 feet long and some change. So, so again, the existing boat lift is closer to the western side. It's moving more central, and then the floating apparatus that is getting impacted. Again, I'll go back to the picture. By the corner, by closer to the choppier water, I don't know, stronger currents, is being impacted, and they want to move that in. So,
well, go back to that just for a second, because
Sure.
I just want to make sure that I'm understanding this. The intercoastal is to the right, not to the left.
Correct.
Okay.
So this is in a small canal, and the floating dock that is not permanently installed that the jet skis are on, is the one that is being impacted by the stronger currents closer to the corner. They want to move that in, and you see the boat in the upright position.
Mm-hmm.
That will move more central, closer to the pool, so a little further away from the
But
neighbors
the jet
to make
ski's
use
right
for
now,
it.
right on the line. I
don't know what that one is. I think.
Do you see that the jet
It's a
skis are right
floating.
there on the line? That's not a 10-foot.
Hang on. I'm trying.
No.
I'm trying to get it to point.
we relocated the jet ski to the east side.
It's an old image.
At the other side
old?
where we installed the boat lift. They moved it to the next side. And once they get the approval for the jet ski lift, they're going to take out the whole floating platform out.
Gotcha.
It's a
Okay.
floating platform.
And it's it's hard to tell from the image as well, but they're not permanently installed, so they're difficult to regulate. But the jet skis aren't the ones that tend to impede on the neighbors' spaces. So this permanent sort of parking space for jet skis would be 20 feet 8 inches from the side setback. And then the boat lift would be repositioned within that, and it's over 120 feet from the neighbor to the other side. So again, this is, if you agree to modify this in this particular configuration, this is a section of the code that is high on the list to go back through. So, depending on ultimately what you decide with the frontage and the different types of water vehicles, that would probably help guide staff in the future.
Good. Okay, so if there's anybody here that would like to speak to resolution number 20-24, this would be the point at which you would step forward, state your name and address, and you'd have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing no one, public comment closed. Going back to applicant and the city, any cross-examination or rebuttal testimony? I guess no cross, but any rebuttal testimony to what was spoken by the city?
Do you want to correct anything that I put on the record?
Yes, you.
Okay. Do you want to correct anything that I said on the record?
No.
Okay, all right, so any cross or rebuttal? No, all right, to the commission. I'm going to speak because I used to live over in Tropic Isle, and I know that this boat lifts and different modifications has created a lot of ill will between neighbors even. I don't necessarily, and by the way, let me ask the question because it was mentioned that this was a 2 lots split into one. I don't know that that's correct because I know that there are a lot of lots that are like that on the end. They have that long triangular edge.
Right. I think, this one is the one next to the one on the end, I believe.
Right. But was it ever 2 lots, 2 standard lots?
I think whether or not it was whoever originally bought the land when it was platted has more width than,
right.
There's more than one. You know how the legal description will say, this lot and the other 3/4 of the adjacent lot. This is the survey's in the backup, but it's 191 feet wide, whereas the standard lot is...
No, it's 90 by 100. I know that's typical for over there, 90 feet wide by 100 maybe deep, or it could be 120 depending on where you are. In McCleary, they usually have the narrower canals and the longer lots. So
there's 2 ends sort of divided up property into larger estate properties at some point in the past.
Right, but I think that was originally plotted that way. I don't think that was two. I mean, I'm asking. You don't see that there was 2 lots that were split and fused together. I mean,
they're definitely not split. No.
Okay.
No.
And then brought together. This was always a single lot.
Okay.
I'm asking.
I don't know. There's a line on the survey that makes it distinguish. I don't know, between where the pool is and something else. So, I mean, this area was platted. I think the plat book is really old, but it is a larger piece of property than the average lots that are there on the end.
A lot of those on the end are.
So.
All right, I just worry we might be opening up that proverbial can of worms. I know that others are doing it over there, and it doesn't necessarily say that that's the reason to do it today.
Correct.
But I am a little leery about granting this because I think that what you're going to do is then going to have others that are going to expect the same thing, who may not be on the same type of property and may not be able to give that kind of space towards their neighbors, but because others are doing it, then you're going to have more of a question. I mean, people are going to be asking for it, so just want to kind of give that out to my colleagues before you decide what you want to do. Does anybody else want to say anything? Deputy Vice Mayor?
I mean, I guess I'm not as concerned about the precedent if it is, Anthea had sort of indicated that this may be something that we'll address in the code anyway. And if this is a floating dock now that they're using for the jet skis, to have a permanent lift in there seems like a safer condition. And it seems like frankly, a better arrangement to move everything more central in the property. So for me, this seems like a time where an exception is probably, for the greater good here. That's kind of how I see it.
Okay. Vice Mayor?
I don't have any issues.
Okay. Commissioner?
No.
Nothing? Commissioner, anything? No comments. All right, very good. Entertain a motion then.
Motion to approve item 7C.
Second.
All right, call the roll, please.
Mr. Frankel?
Yes.
Mr. Long? Mr. Boylston?
Yes.
Ms. Burns?
Yes.
Mayor Petrolia?
No, and it'll pass 4-1. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to 7D, Resolution 34-24. Mr. Orris, this is Savor the Avenue.
Good evening, Jeff Orris, Assistant City Manager. Just your quickie facts here. What's being asked for is actually it's an impact event because it has a road closure. It's the DDA asking for it. It's the 15th annual Savor the Avenue is the event. The event is not happening on March 25th, 2004. It's actually March 25th, 2024.
There you
I
go.
apologize
Great.
for that. The location that they're looking to close and hold the event is on Atlantic Avenue between Swinton and Southeast 5th Avenue. It's here because it's a closure of a major roadway, and the current city cost estimate of waivable cost, because they do get the 50% reduction, is a cost to the city of $5,276.54.
Very good. All right.
Sorry, Alan there, I didn't find the clicker. If you could.
I think Adam was the only one here to approve it in 2004.
Yeah. But
Again, it's a
You know,
major
back-
roadway, and that's why they're here.
Are you really dating them?
You know, the
And-
backup, it says April 15th, 2024. I don't know what the date is.
March
25th.
March.
I'm
Monday.
just saying in the backup, it says 8th.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it sure does.
Okay, my apologies, I gotta
Scribbling
double
this
check
out.
some of these. And this is the site plan for the event, so you can see the map with the closure areas. That's all I've got for you,
Okay, very good. Anything you want to add?
just the facts.
I have pictures. I had another presentation, but which gives you just a little more detail about the event, some pictures. I can share this with you. Again, this is our 15th anniversary of Savor the Avenue, which is hosted by the Downtown Development Authority. Sorry, Laura Simon, Downtown Development Authority.
Thanks.
And we have been producing this event since its inception with the Delray Beach Boca Magazine team with JES Publishing as a way to highlight our downtown dining scene during a lot of its change and really bringing it to where we are today. It is an economic development event which does highlight our restaurants in downtown only from all areas of the downtown. So remind me which one. I'm going to try this one. Yeah, okay. So this year, our 15th year, these are our restaurants that will be participating for the event. We have some newcomers like Colonial, and then the wine room is actually new, but it is on the avenue as well. So they will all set up and serve a 4-course dinner along the double yellow line of Atlantic Avenue, which is also known as now our nation's longest dining table. This picture is actually from COVID, so when we did our distance dining Savor the Avenue event. So we've done it in a lot of different formats. As Mr. Orris showed you, this is the full view of our road closure that we have been using. It's the same road closure for the past 15 years from Swinton to South and Northeast 5th Avenue Federal Highway, which is southbound. And we do close the road at 2 p.m. and begin our setup along Atlantic Avenue. We have side street closures on this, just from the alleyway from Atlantic Avenue to south on the south side, both at 3rd and 4th Avenue for our kitchen setups. So you'll see that. This year we are proposing to add an additional kitchen on 2nd Avenue for Rose's Daughter and Brûlée. But we'll have that. Well, that is part of this change too. But this is our 15th year, and we have a great working relationship with the city. We appreciate the city's partnership through this time, making this a tradition for our community, and it has grown to be something that people really look forward to, similar to the Christmas tree lighting. I think while we seat 1,000 people, we'd love to seat the 5,000 or 10,000 people that really want to be part of this event. We haven't figured out. I'd try to go longer if we could, but we'll conquer that at a different time. But for tonight, again, it's just East Atlantic Avenue in the 5 blocks. And it is a quarter of a mile, 1,359 feet, I think, close to that. So, but it's a great event, and we just appreciate your support always.
Very good. Thank you so much. It's probably what's so unique, and there are so many people that come from out of the state to attend it, and that try to bring it back to their state and to their cities, which is really kind of cool.
Yes.
It's like setting a real example for us downtown. So I think that, I love it. I think it's great. And I also love the fact that for those who are not wanting to sit down and have dinner, they are walking up and down and just looking at this beautiful table, all set independently from restaurant to restaurant with just incredible themes. It's just a special sight, even if you're just a stroller along the avenue on that evening with no cars. Great. So I support it.
Mayor, if I may.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry.
I apologize. If you are inclined to approve, if you would also amend the date in the resolution.
Of
Thank
course
you.
we will.
You can just approve as amended.
Okay. So anything else? Did anybody want to say? Okay, just entertain a motion.
Motion to approve as amended.
Second.
All right, call the roll, please.
Thank you.
Mr. Long?
Yes.
Mr. Woolston?
Yes.
Ms. Burns?
Yes.
Mayor Petrolia?
Yes.
Mr. Frankel?
Yes.
All right. Here we go again.
Thank
One more.
you. Cheers.
All right, Resolution 38-24. Ms. Jellin, this is yours.
It is my first
Zoning.
time talking all night. Wow. So this is zoning in progress. Anthea can probably explain a lot better than I, but I'm going to just speak very broadly. Our code defines eaves of a roof, that little part that extends out of the roof, and it allows those to go into the setback. And so pre-Anthea, pre-Lynn Jellin, probably pre all of you, an interpretation, except there was an interpretation that was made. There was an interpretation that was made that said that the balconies could be considered like under that eaves definition, and so that's been utilized all these years as something that can come into the setback. And so what we're asking the commission to do is to allow us to issue a zoning in progress so that any development, any new development, any new applications that come before the city that propose to have a balcony in the setback, there's going to be a timeout for 180 days to allow staff to bring forth amendments that are really going to define this, to give us some parameters and guidelines. It's unnerving that there's been an interpretation that's been on the books for so long that it's not really in the books, it's just a stapled piece of paper in Anthea's book that she has to comply with because it's something that another department director made. So for purposes of notice, for purposes of giving people the policies of the city, we want that in the books. And so that's all that this is doing.
Is there anything anybody want to say? Because I think that it's only great to make it clearer if we can.
And that's
because
what we're
this
trying to do.
seems like
And-
it's like taking something that was once thought of just as a roof jutting out and making it into something entirely different, and that opens up the
And
door
we can
for a
show
lot
you
of
pictures of
I-
what it's
I
turned into.
would imagine.
That really we need to just make sure that the commission's aware of it so that when these things pop up, you can say, well, the code allows for it or it doesn't allow for it, and then we can have that discussion. So it's just to give people notice. As to
Quick
make it clear.
question does it apply to residential and commercial structures?
I think it's residential only. Residential? Uh-oh.
Just curious, sorry. Didn't make you run the way.
Never a yes or no, right? So the central business district actually has pretty clear definitions of what can come in and out. So those mixed-use projects are captured. And this is a clarification that's been on the list for a long time, so I really don't anticipate this taking 180 days. We started drafting an ordinance in 2020, so it's just that it's working off of a roof overhang that you can stand on interpretation, and now I'm getting challenged on the definition of balcony. So to interpret the interpretation is not good for anyone, particularly the residents who should have some predictability in terms of what's coming out of the ground. So CBD is okay, downtown kind of, it has that form-based code that makes specific allowances. The rest of the city is working off of this interpretation. So if they're already submitted and they're in the process, they're going under the interpretation unless they don't agree with the interpretation. So then they can wait. But again, we're going to go quickly because, you know, you should allow things in your setback that make buildings more interesting and bring that humanity of like, oh, I could be up there having coffee someday when I are there, even if you're never going to be there. So this is not like a battle against balconies. It's truly not. Those are important elements for our residents and to have in the city. It's just a matter of really clarifying the part that can come forward into the setback. You can do what you want inside your setback, but the envelope is getting stretched and we're working off of an interpretation, and it just is making problems.
No, makes sense. Thank you.
Great. Entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Boylston?
Yes.
Ms. Burns?
Yes.
Mayor Petrolia?
Yes.
Mr. Frankel?
Yes.
Mr. Long?
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Anthea. All right, moving on to 7F, I think, right? Yep. Right, okay, so request for tennis courts for the resurfacing. We're going to be doing some, I guess, resurfacing over at Pompeii, and this has to do with a great grant that I think we're getting, right?
Yes.
All right.
Good evening again, Mayor and Commissioners. Sam Mita, Parks and Recreation Director. As many of you know, you kind of alluded to that with the success of Miss Coco Gauff winning the U.S. Open, there's a USTA partnership grant that comes in afterwards to help rehabilitate courts throughout the country to her picking. Luckily for us, she picked Pompeii Park as one of the locations to receive some attention. And what you have here before you is us working with the USTA on what they would like to do. That incorporates resurfacing the courts over there at Pompeii, new nets, new chain link fencing around the court, new awnings, new windscreens, just really sprucing it up in a really nice way. It's approximately $60,000 of renovations there to make the courts fresh again. We've worked with our plan for the new Pompeii Park. This does not move in the new plan, so those tennis courts don't get altered anyway. It's not something that's going to get moved again in a year and a half when we do our renovations. There's no utility underneath. So we worked with the city attorney's office. We came up with a hold harmless agreement, which is what you have here before you. They selected a construction company that they've done a number of these projects with that would come in, do all of the work for the proposed pricing here, and we would have a brand new facility. Thank you to Ms. Coco Gauff.
Okay.
Fantastic. All right. Any questions or comments or concerns? I mean, I don't think there is any.
No.
All right. Entertain a
All
motion.
good news. Motion to second.
All right. Call the roll.
Yes.
Mayor Petrolia?
Yes.
Mr. Frankel?
Yes.
Mr. Long?
Yes.
Mr. Boylston?
Yes.
Thank you.
Before you leave, any chance of doing a ribbon cutting at Catherine Strong Park for the pickleball courts? We never did anything.
If you guys are interested in doing a ribbon cutting, we can put
Okay,
something
well,
together.
I'll bring it up at the comments and see what they're interested in. I was just wondering if we could even do it. Very good, thank you. All right, moving on to public hearings. We have ordinance number 42-23.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Delray Beach, Florida, amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Delray Beach, Chapter 35, Employee Policies and Benefits, subheading Retirement Plan, by creating a new Section 35.111, Biennial Review, to provide an opportunity for the City Commission to review the retirement and disability benefits provided to retired and current employees every odd-numbered year, providing a conflicts clause, a severability clause, authority to codify, providing an effective date, and for other purposes. This is the ordinance that was directed by the commission, and all it does essentially is allow you every odd numbered year, so the first time you would be doing this is 2025, to review whether or not a COLA is appropriate for your current employees and your retired employees as to their employment, as to their retirement benefits, not just, you know, a salary COLA, but this applies to retirement benefits. Okay, great. And this is a public hearing, second reading.
So if there's anybody here that would like to speak to the public hearing of 8A, ordinance number 42-23, please step forward, state your name and address. Seeing no one, public comment is closed to the commission. Entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Call the roll.
Mayor Petrolia?
Yes.
Mr. Frankel?
Yes.
Mr. Long?
Yes.
Mr. Boylston?
Yes.
Ms. Burns?
Yes.
All right, we have the first reading, 9A, ordinance number 02-24.
All right, get comfortable.
I can see that.
An ordinance, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Delray Beach, Florida, amending the Code of Ordinances, Title V, Public Works, Chapter 52, Water, Section 52.03, Use of Water from Hydrants, updating the title of the applicable department, increasing the fees for meter installation and removal, and requiring the applicant to be financially responsible for any damage to the meter. Amending Section 52.07, landscape irrigation, updating the definitions to reference the correct Florida Administrative Code rule. Amending Section 52.16, testing of meters. Updating the title of the applicable department and clarifying existing language. Amending Section 52.39, other fees, updating the title of the applicable department and clarifying the method of calculating inspection fees. Amending Section 52.82, definitions, updating the title of the applicable department, amending the definitions of air gap, backflow, backflow preventer, back siphonage, cross connection, double check valve assembly, hazard health, hazard pollutional, pressure type vacuum breaker, and reduced pressure to adopt definitions consistent with current industry standards, adopting a definition for back pressure and utilities department cross connection control program, and deleting the definition for contamination. Amending Section 52.83, backflow prevention devices, when required, specifications, updating the title of the applicable department, replacing all references to backflow prevention devices with backflow prevention assemblies, clarifying the location of required backflow prevention assemblies in the applicable standards, and inserting references to the City of Delray Beach Utilities Department's cross-connection control plan. Amending Section 52.84, Environmental Services Department to administer, updating the title of the applicable department, and replacing all references to backflow prevention devices with backflow prevention assemblies. Amending Section 52.85, notice of violation, failure to remedy, updating the title of the applicable department and eliminating the maximum number of days an owner has to correct the violation. Amending Section 52.99, penalty, adopting a new subsection D requiring utility customer to pay a reconnection fee if water service was disconnected due to a backflow or cross-connection violation. Amending Section 52.05, tampering with or damaging equipment. Section 52.15, minimum size of meters. Section 52.18, removal of meters when service is disconnected, temporary removal subject to retroactive bills. Section 52.19, vegetation water meter. Section 52.32, meter installation charge. Section 52.38, temporary use, tapping, charges, and deposit. Section 52.51, delinquent bills, discontinued service, and Section 52.98, prima facie evidence of violation, updating the title of the applicable department, updating the title of the, providing a conflicts clause, providing a severability clause, authority to codify, and providing an effective date. This is first reading, so there's no presentation.
Okay.
And this caption will change when you see it again.
Entertain a motion.
Motion to approve whatever she said.
Do I have a second?
Second. That's a
All
tough
right,
one,
there
a
we
second.
go. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Frankel?
Yes.
Mr. Long?
Yes.
Mr. Boylston?
Yes.
Ms. Burns?
Yes.
Mayor Petrolia?
Yes, okay, ordinance number 09-24, quicker one.
This is easier. An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Delray Beach, Florida, amending Chapter 32, Departments, Boards, and Commissions by amending Section 32.29, Duties and Responsibilities, to update the purpose of the board, providing a savings clause, a general repealer clause, and an effective date. And this is first reading.
Entertain a motion?
This is,
This is the Education Board.
I know we normally just pass first reading and we can just do that today. I just wanted to let everybody know that I really think the Education Board needs to be looked at holistically. I think their purpose and who's appointed to it and how it aligns with our new education coordinator and / workforce position. And I don't know if we're the commission to do it. There's going to be a new commission coming soon. And that's probably something that they should tackle. We shouldn't tackle in the last few months here, especially three of us. So I wouldn't be in favor of making this change because I think more input is needed and probably bigger changes are needed to make this an effective board. I'd like to, and we had our school board member here today. I would love, he's asking for help. I'd love to know his thoughts. I'd love to talk to some of the current members of the board and what they feel needs to be improved on.
I don't mind putting it off,
Certainly
but
love
I think that you have a very well-seasoned board that could change to a very non-seasoned board with 2 members of 1 year of experience and 3 members with very little experience. I mean, just maybe depending, it could be 0 experience, depending on who comes in. So, or very little.
Sorry to interrupt. This
Yeah.
ordinance doesn't change the configuration of the board. It just changes our
Okay.
duties and responsibilities.
Right,
So
but-
it's a little
Right.
bit different than like police advisory where
Right.
we change that dynamic.
I understand, and
Yeah.
my question is that I don't know that we would want to put what we're trying to do onto a board that really has no history and experience of trying to make these changes. Although I'm good with putting this off a little longer so that we can do a little bit more questioning and answers to make sure that we're making the right decision.
Well, if staff's comfortable doing, we can maybe do that between first and second reading.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We can just table it until we
Or
have
you can
further
do the
Right.
first
discussion.
reading.
We
and
can do the
just-
first reading today.
and
We'll
then
pass
we'll
it.
have time to do it to ask the questions and make sure that we're making the right decision between now and the second reading.
So there's consensus to do this after March? Is that what I'm hearing?
No,
or-
you're not.
No.
Yeah.
I think we're
No.
gonna
We're
go
just gonna-
forward.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so
Yeah.
entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Call the roll.
Mr. Frankel?
Yes.
Mr. Long?
Yes.
Mr. Boylston?
Yes.
Ms. Burns?
Yes.
Mayor Petrolia?
And yes, all right, on to comments and inquiries, city manager.
Yes, one item briefly, and that is the commitment relative to quarterly town hall engagement events. The first for the current fiscal year is to take place next Thursday, January 25th, 6 o'clock over at the golf course. So we will begin soon to market and promote that activity, working with different department directors to come up with some subject matter. We have a number of topics, but currently we anticipate January 25th, April 25th, July 25th as well, and then potentially October 24th. That's your calendar for 2024. Likewise, we'll be making that available, and therefore we look forward to engaging with the community as a result.
Is
I
there
yield at
any,
this time.
are there conflicts on the 25th? That seems very familiar to me,
CRA is Tuesday, so it's not CRA.
okay, so it's not us. All right, good,
You said on the 25th?
no, okay, very good.
I'll just because I was going to comment on that. I love the messaging of we're getting out of the digital. We do so much in digital, so much that we won an award. But yeah, I really like the messaging of like this is an initiative. This isn't an event. This is an initiative. So if you haven't seen the messaging that Gina and her team came up with, it's fantastic.
Good job. All right, anything else, sir?
I yield at this time. Thank
All
you.
right, city attorney?
So I had sent an email last week. It's almost like a class action litigation that some municipalities are engaging in concerning the Form 6 requirement. Our outside counsel, Weiss Serota, is one of the law firms that's engaging other municipalities to take on this litigation. Essentially what their argument is that the Form 6 violates the Florida Constitution as it's an invasion of privacy. And so I was seeking direction if the commission wanted to join the lawsuit. It's a flat rate fee of $10,000, and it's, they need at least 10 municipalities to join before they will undertake it. So it's your call. Form 6, just for everyone's knowledge, is okay. So never mind. The
Yeah,
other three?
I'm definitely for it.
Okay.
And we discussed it in Tallahassee. I know Boynton Beach, I don't know if they're same lawsuit, but they're going forward as well.
There's so many people that have already resigned at the end of I think they had to reconstitute in Ocean Ridge the entire commission because they all resigned. So I am definitely, there's an issue here, and I would definitely be okay with $10,000 to help to support this moving forward and see where it goes.
And the lawsuit would seek injunctive relief, which would mean that if you haven't filed
Might
it
get it
yet, you
back.
don't have to. So I would tell you just to wait to see. You have until July anyway.
Yes.
But it would seek that relief. So I will let them know that we're interested.
And those of us that are not going to be here, we still have to file, by the way.
Correct. Yes, because it was in place
Great.
as of January 1st when
Correct.
you were in office.
Yes.
The second matter, I was just going to clarify the sponsorship. It was a late meeting last time, so Anthea and I went back and we looked at the new code, the new changes to Chapter 2. And right now, Chapter 2 does say that if the commission denies an application for an amendment to the LDR, which is what these sponsorships are, that the city commission shall not thereafter consider any further application for the same request for a period of 36 months. And so we already have some language built in there.
You know, I think we put that in way back when. I mean, I think we did. Yeah, because I think that
I'm going to
we-
give credit to Anthea. She knows.
Okay.
She knows how
She
you guys
found it.
think. And so, but that can be waived by an affirmative vote of 3 commissioners. So, if 3 of you are up here and agree that there should be a waiver for a certain, and it's very, very specific, if it's necessary to prevent injustice or to facilitate the proper development of the city. And so there are some standards that would have to be met in order to waive the affirmative 3 votes.
So it's not just a waiver
No.
because someone's come in and decided that they wanted,
there's standards
they
in
made
there.
friends with 3 of us.
Basically.
Okay,
And
good.
Yes. So I don't think we need that code change because I
No.
think it's
I
already
think
built
that
in there and
works.
it's doing exactly what the commission expressed concern over. So I wanted to clarify that publicly.
Fantastic. We should have known that we had that, right? So we didn't have to go through that. Would have cut off some time. All right. Okay, to the commission, let's start with Deputy Vice Mayor.
Thank you. I wanted to start off by acknowledging the contributions and the untimely passing of our Planning and Zoning Board Chair, Julian Blankenship, who was a friend of mine and a colleague for many years on the Planning and Zoning Board, and someone who I will say is a tremendous loss to our city and to our community. She was a great board member, just an all-around great person. She had an amazing sense of humor. She always came super prepared, and her and I didn't always agree on stuff, but I always respected her opinion because she always did her homework. Super smart, always really gracious with staff, and she will be missed. And I spoke with Lynn about this, and I was hoping we could do some kind of certification letter to send to her son, maybe a plaque or something like that to recognize her.
For sure.
I think close to 5 years of volunteer service with our city.
I'm so glad you brought her up because I was going to, and I mean, I was absolutely shocked.
Yeah.
And I think that is so appropriate to send something to her family that, lets them know how much she meant to us.
Absolutely. And like me and Commissioner Frankel found out about it in Tallahassee. It really knocked the wind out of us because I know you were friends with her as well.
I think it did it across the city.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody was just shocked.
It was unbelievable. Very sad.
I couldn't believe it.
Just one more quick comment. I wish I had done it when Ms. Woods was still here, but great. I wholeheartedly agree with her comment regarding our police department. And I want to thank them for being at the breakfast celebration that Spady did yesterday. And I know the Vice Mayor was there, and the MLK celebration. And I know the Vice Mayor was there, and Commissioner Burns was there. And I think the speaker, was referring to some national racial equity issues, and maybe it was an oversight that they failed to mention that the only police department in attendance, the Delray Police Department, is not part of that problem. In fact, they're part of this solution. And I think it was just an oversight. That gentleman was from West Palm Beach, but I wanted to make sure that I said something to our officers who I don't think fit into, that category. I think that you guys are doing a tremendous job with community engagement across our city. So thank you.
In fact, maybe the opposite. So, I don't think that was, like she said, they didn't land the plane,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
just recognize that. And my apologies, I was out of town, so I had a birthday party to attend on the West Coast. All right, anything else, Mr.? Okay, very good.
Thank you. I appreciate you bringing up Julian. I also wanted to thank Anthea for the email. That was very, very nice because
Yes.
she was a dear friend of mine for more than 5 years. So I appreciate the kind words that were sent. Rob and I were at Palm Beach County Days because I fly Delta and he drove. And
Wow.
I just think it's important to recognize Matt Forrest for
He does an amazing
He
job.
set up, I think, the most meetings we've ever had at Palm Beach County Days. And one of the things I think it's important that I share, hopefully on your behalf, is this EJS funding that continually gets vetoed. And one of the recommendations was for handwritten letters sent up to Tallahassee because what we were told is it makes it a little more difficult to
Say no.
veto and say no. So
Can somebody provide who we would send them to and what should be said, and we can maybe get that out there, because it would be great to have.
I have.
You have it?
I can give it.
So let's get that
because
too.
I do it
Perfect.
Good.
every year.
Yeah. Okay. They just, they don't want form emails, but
Yeah.
handwritten, I think, was
Yeah.
right.
Every year they've gotten a little bit farther, and last
Yeah.
year they got to, and then they were vetoed.
And this may get past the veto. So
And I spoke with Dupree about that, and they're kind of putting together a strategy. I guess they sent some last year, but I think we talked about a strategy where they send them in phases depending on what committee it's
So it
in.
keeps coming.
So they keep getting them.
That's a good idea.
So they eventually make it to the governor depending on what phase of the process they're in.
Very good.
And last, the noise. I will volunteer, Mr. Moore, if you need me. I can take you out. I can show you. A lot of things in the city I don't know. This I know.
If I may,
Yeah, sure.
Commissioner, ladies and gentlemen, in my comments when the residents were in
Yeah.
attendance and I talked about some proactive efforts to do more in that regard, I've assessed it. I have a sense as to what they're talking about. However, I may take you up on that offer just to get a different perspective if there's any others, but I think we're all on the same accord in terms of what needs to be done. And again, we'll be making arrangements beginning tomorrow.
So I can tell you, I'm talking Saturday night, Sunday afternoon, and Monday afternoon. We're not talking about, it's all late night stuff.
Right.
This is weekends. Monday obviously was the holiday. People were out watching football. It's, I'll show you whatever you need to see.
I had an experience or two because I've heard about experiences or observations during the day Sunday. So after Sunday afternoon track practice, for example, I've actually gone down there to take a look, and
So you know what
some
I'm
of the observations you've shared here tonight are consistent with that and fairly recent.
Sure.
So
And
got
just,
it.
the one thing I'll just wrap up is next Tuesday at the CRA meeting, we may have a discussion item about the downtown between Swinton and the beach and potential funding to help correct some of these actions. So keep that in mind when we meet next week, and we can discuss it further then. Cool. Good night.
Very good. Commissioner Burns?
Yes, I just wanted to say that I've attended several MLK Day of Service activities over the last couple of days, and they were great. And the breakfast, again, kudos to the police department. Delray, we know that we have the finest out there. I also got the opportunity to read the proclamation for the MLK Day of Service at two events this past weekend, and also an appreciation to the Omega Psi Phi with the mayor's signature on. So those were
Fantastic.
great. Oh, and the hope, the pole of hope.
I was gonna say the peace pole.
The
I was
road,
gonna-
the peace pole.
yeah, I was
Yes,
gonna mention
also
that too.
attended that. That was great. Nice
I
event.
saw the pictures. It was great.
Yes.
Looks beautiful. And I also love that they did all the flowers around it. It really looks pretty.
Cool. Yeah.
All right, Vice Mayor.
And I
you're
think
up.
that's probably the model for getting things done, because didn't we approve that 2 weeks ago?
Yes, we did.
12 days ago. That's 1 week, 5 days.
All right.
Yeah.
Whatever process you utilize
that's-
for
we
the
need to-
peace poll, maybe
Use it again.
Maybe spread that around. Aside from just again, I just want to say thank you to my colleagues. Matt Forrest had put together a few meetings, and I know he dumped them then, on you guys for me, so I appreciate that. I want to make a comment on a conversation I had in the Orlando airport with school board member Ferguson. He brought up building 2 at Carver historic Carver High. They are not keeping that building. They're going to demolish that building. He said, unless we had any use for it. And it just got me thinking, renovations at City Hall that we're going to be doing, renovations at the police station, would we have any interest in utilizing that space as or also, we also have a lot of community partners that are always looking for space that provide services specifically to the demographic that's at Village Center. So I didn't know if that was something that we wanted staff to chime in on, not tonight, but come back to us and say whether or not they would. It's a lot of square footage, and we're always looking for space. Otherwise, they'll just demolish it. But
Okay. All right. So I would just want, staff's thoughts on whether or not we could utilize that building temporarily.
And keep in mind that this is not just a, hey, we want it, it's a commitment as well to financial, because, it's not habitable. So.
Right. Yeah.
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 It's gonna take a lot of money.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind when we're considering this, as far as staff is concerned, because there's only so much money in the budget, and I don't know where we get it, but anyway. Anything else?
No, that's
okay.
it.
So I know I didn't mention things last time, but I didn't bring the list, so I'm really kind of concerned. Did we talk about the pickleball grand marshal, the young gal? No? Okay, so I was gonna ask, and I think I talked with Mr. Moore about it, and I was hoping that we would be able to maybe have a grand marshal of that young pickleball champion, 16 years old here, lives here, Miss Waters, during the St. Patrick's Day Parade.
Perfect.
I think it would be wonderful to have her lead it off. So I think I already talked with Mr. Moore about that, and like I said, if you need any contacts, I can get them for you. Talked about the ribbon cutting at Catherine Strong Park, but I want to just get okay from everybody that we can do that. That park now is one of the most popular parks in our town, where nobody ever went to it before. Now it's like you can't get on the court in the morning. I mean, I know that because my husband complains about it all the time. He used to be over there when it first opened up, and he would it was like free for all. He had it. Now he can't even get on the court. So that's how popular it's become. So it'd be great to have a ribbon cutting for that. We do it for our parks otherwise, so I say we do it. There was something I had in my notes. I'm going to have to follow it up with Mr. Moore. There was somebody was complaining about a defect in the sidewalk on Andrews Avenue. Did you get anything about that? It was maybe a couple weeks ago, because it was what I was maybe supposed to bring up last time we were.
I don't recall.
All right, let me look that up and follow up with you on that one. And sorry I missed the Peace Poll, and also MLK out of town. Important big birthday, 60 for my brother-in-law, and my sister's birthday's today. Happy birthday, Jennifer. I would also, let's see here. We all had a calendar issue, I believe, no? About our meeting today? Yeah, the 3 o'clock, it was canceled. Yeah.
I didn't.
So yours was okay?
Yeah.
And it was interesting, because mine was canceled, yours was canceled, and when I called, I was actually just...
But I will say this, whenever like Lynn or Mr. Moore or somebody brings a meeting up, I take it on my phone and put it right in my calendar. I don't look anywhere else.
Okay, but when they're loading our calendars, are you loading your own?
I don't go by, I do my own.
Mine automatically loads. I set up on my.
I know, but do you load it from this, I mean, does the city,
Loads right into my master calendar with all my emails from the list.
So there's some sort of a glitch maybe, or something's happening, because I actually thought we were canceled today for the 3 o'clock. And so what happened was, I called up, I was talking to Lynn to move an appointment and up, because I was meeting with her just before that 3 o'clock. And she said, wait, what? and then I kind of said, oh, well, it was canceled, the 3 o'clock. And she says, I don't think so. Regardless, there is something going on, because this isn't the first time it's happened to my calendar. And luckily, both times I was talking to somebody that got me back on board, because it absolutely shows, and I screenshot it, because I wanted to make sure everybody knew that it was actually, it's crossed line and it says canceled right across it. So it was very clear that it was canceled.
I always look at Legistar too. It was
I don't. I just look at my phone and where it boils down to. So do you know what happened there?
I'm not terribly sure. We're having the Department of Information Technology to investigate it. Michelle Pandolfo and I spoke about it this afternoon before the meeting to offer that direction. So we'll get down to business in that regard. And if I may, Madam Mayor, I do recall, I had to sum in my thoughts for a second as far as Andrews Avenue.
Okay, you do?
So, yes, ma'am. So I simply briefly touched base with the Director of Public Works about that, so that we can evaluate that getting squared away and taken care of. So duly noted. I just had to think about it.
I had it in my day planner, and I don't think I brought it up.
It goes back towards the end of the holidays, somewhere in that time frame, so I had to recall my
but
thoughts.
We had met, and then last meeting was 7.5 hours, and I didn't want to inundate everybody with all those things, so I was trying to put it back together today.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so, and then the second thing that happened was, then all of a sudden it wasn't 3 o'clock, it was 3:30. That was another kind of.
That's my fault.
That was deliberate.
What was it?
That was me when I
look at him.
Well, yeah, when I talked to Lynn, I said
that was deliberate.
Well, if we only have two out of 3, why are we meeting for 2 hours?
No, and truthfully, that's a good
Yeah,
point.
But that was our conversation this morning.
But it wasn't updated, right? I mean, because I think you knew that it was 3:30 before I knew, or Michelle knew, because I was talking to her on the phone when you were telling me, no, it's 3:30. So again,
I just talked to Mr. Moore.
Yeah.
So
She did.
I just started texting everyone.
Gotcha. All right, because that was a slow delay too, because I just wanted to make sure that we're all speaking to each other and not like siloed
If there
off.
was no sunshine, I'd be happy to speak to all of you.
No, I'm talking about city
we appreciate
department to
that.
department, like
Yeah, I
the
know.
city manager's department to Michelle, because she's got to get it to us. I think that's it. I don't think I see anything else on here. That's probably it. We're going to be out of here. All right, everybody, have a good one.